video games or whatever. Hey, everybody, strap in, buckle up. It's time. It's about to begin the live viewing. I said we were live 5 minutes ago, but I just hit the live button, so I'm sorry about that to everyone who was just sitting like, what's going on? When's it going to start? All right.
Anticipation.
Take a moment while I do my pre-show puff. Think about your final thoughts, collect them, and then we'll begin.
See, fuck. I'm thinking about stuff again.
I'm sorry, Navashin.
No, because
I like talking about it with you. That's why I bring it up, just so you know.
No, I love it, dude. Don't get me wrong. I get embarrassed about it. That's really all it really is.
That I can respect.
But like playing Ghost of Tsushima as well. Like, you know, I'm looking at my Rurouni Kenshin manga. Like, fucking,
I thought of Rurouni Kenshin so much while playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I can't talk about anymore because I can't support the author anymore. But like, it's more of like, you know, like a me thing where it's like, yes, I just need to read, because like Inuyasha is my favorite anime, Rurouni Kenshin is my favorite manga. It's everything right now.
It's all coming together, man.
Yeah, it really is.
Japanese culture coming alive once more through Tsushima. All right. It is Saturday, July 18th, 2020, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions podcast. I am Alex O'Neill, your host for this podcast we are about to embark on. 10 years starts today. Just buckle up, everyone at home. We're in for a long ride. Joining me, as always, Mr. Scott Guthier.
Hello.
Tony Horvath.
Hey.
And Mr. Brian Nabashin Jackson.
Don't look at me.
Also joining us from IrrationalPassions.com, Mr. Mike Burgess.
Here's what I remember about not Rurouni Kenshin, Inuyasha. You said those two names already, Inuyasha and Kagome.
Got it.
There's the love interest. There's a big sword. It was always on my television, and when I would leave it on overnight, and I'd wake up at like 5 a.m. and be like, oh yeah, that thing. And also isn't it his brother?
Yeah.
Sesshomaru. Didn't he like turn into like an animal or like a snake or a fox or something? Or
Turns into a giant dog very early on, and then never does it again. And you're like, man, it would be cool.
Yeah, because I you know, like you said, you were watching the full thing. I've never actually watched the full thing because it was that thing of I used to just leave my TV on overnight because when I lived with my parents, and you know they had cable in my room, and I just had Cartoon Network Adult Swim on late at night, and then it would be that super early anime that was on at like 4 or 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd randomly wake up and just some anime ass shit was happening. You're just like, all right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, this guy's got a big sword. It looks like a fang.
A big sword. This high school girl's really into him, and then, like you said, that dude turned into a big dog or a big animal. And I'm just like, all right, this like I'm not. I didn't really think it was bad by any means, not at all. But I was like, but it was just like that's all I ever saw of it.
Yeah. Now
but
people.
I probably appreciate it now because I mean, like I like weird anime too. Like me, the madman who's watched One Piece and followed One Piece since I was in high school.
Hell yeah, dude.
So,
Never be proud of who you are, both you and Nabashin.
Yeah.
Chase this bliss.
Anime is all right. Is what I'm here to say.
Now everyone's gonna know we talk about anime before the podcast. they're gonna know what warms us, what really charges up our numbers.
Ian Preschel from OKB is just gonna break through one of our like, doors.
He somehow joins the Discord call. How are you in this? I heard there was anime. We got a very good show lined up for all of you. Mike's here. Talk about Destiny. Talk about Paper Mario. We've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. It's you know, video games are out, and the Xbox game showcase for the Series X is next week, and finally we might actually know what the next gen of video games will look like, or at least that's what everyone keeps telling me. But I don't know. It seems fake, maybe.
Yeah, it seems sus.
But Irrational Passions podcast, obviously we are live every Saturday around 7 p.m. Eastern time on youtube.com/Irrational Passions. You give us a listen on Tuesdays if you missed the live show in audio form and all your favorite podcast services. We're part of IrrationalPassions.com. Before we talk about video games, just want to highlight some cool stuff that went up over there. And not just over there, over on YouTube as well. On the website, we got a review of Ooblets, which I guess it's not technically a review because it's in early access, but good impressions of it from Quentin Hoffman. It seems like just the jolliest goddamn video game. And I wish I could play it. Hopefully, I want to try and find some way to play it. But Mike, you also sat down with Quinn and chatted over some gameplay of that with Ty from Uppercut, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you probably should be able to play it. It's on Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
In,
just
game
an early.
preview?
It's just an early access. I was honestly surprised by how many like systems it had. It still seems pretty cool though, because it's like a farm like one part farm simulator, like Stardew, and some other kind of more like chill versions of that style of farm sim. One part kind of Pokemon, because you're kind of Pokemon are more like I honestly more say like Viva Pinata.
Okay.
Because like you're specifically like growing specific things to then get the Ooblets who like hang out in this like main core town you go back and forth to like grow and get like different like fertilizer and crops and stuff. And then the Ooblets are there, and then you initiate them in dance battles. And then in the dance battles, there's also like cards that you're getting depending on the Ooblets you have. So it's like also like a card battler too.
Whoa.
So like there's a whole bunch of like stuff going on, and I was kind of surprised, like all of these systems kind of layered on top of each other for like a game that you can kind of look at and be like, oh man, this looks super chill and like cute, and all the little dudes are following you around. There was Quinn had a little mushroom man that had like a monocle, and there's like these little like bird dudes that were kind of fun. And
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it seems interesting.
Speaking of which, new, do you like Giant Bomb Quick Looks? Boy, do we have the product for you on our youtube.com/Rational Passions. We are trying to do our very own iteration of Quick Look. Called Viewpoints. There's a couple that have been recorded. Unfortunately, I guess one was crunched by the internet.
Yeah, we tried to do. That's why I'm here, because I want to spread the Destiny 2 gospel in this dark pit that I'm in with Destiny. We tried to record one, and that was just like a thing of like I was streaming it to you guys on Discord and streaming it on Twitch, and also trying to record it, and I was all doing in OBS, and it just kind of it had like a really weird. I think it was just because actually it wasn't necessarily all the streaming. It was just how I was streaming it and also recording it through OBS, and like OBS was like doubling up certain things because the recording came out very weird because it was like it's really smooth and nice for one parts, and then I would get to certain parts. It was literally more specifically like whenever I would aim down the sights of a gun and start shooting at dudes, it would turn into a slideshow like almost, and it was like consistently like it would do that, and then I'd come out of the gun, and then it would kind of get back up to that nicer, smooth frame rate and everything, and it would do that every time. It was super bizarre, and I think it was just like how I was recording it and streaming it through OBS. It was very weird how that worked out, but
yeah. But
anyway,
we'll talk about it today, luckily, and kind of make up for what you showed us, and then there's also the Ninjala one that we recorded last week, and then hopefully one for Crosscode maybe on the horizon, depending on what we decide we want to do. We got a couple options with that, so. But yeah, check it out, youtube.com/Rational Passions.
Yeah, and it's just something we wanted to try out, just because it's a more chill kind of video production thing, and it also lets us just kind of be us, so to speak, and kind of chat with each other and hang out, play games. So we just wanted to give it a shot and see what people thought. Yeah.
So check all that stuff out. I think that's it for housekeeping. Also, with Paper Mario out, I guess look out, Mike. You're the host of the trip to Nintendo Land, so keep your eyes.
Yeah, we'll have the next episode will probably just be like our quote unquote spoiler cast, where I think we'll just wait till we have completed the game, and then we'll give our full thoughts there. But I'm still excited to give early impressions and talk about it here too.
Yeah,
when we get to there.
So let's talk about some video games. Trying to think, what do we got here? Anybody got anything weird? Tony, Scott, you guys got some weird shit that I don't know about that I should know about?
I don't think so.
Okay, I just want to see.
Not that I remember, no.
Nabishin, how about you get us started? I feel like last week I said that I was gonna make you start at some point. Plus you're all flustered now, so you're gonna give your best results right now. I'm sure. we can do somebody else first. Yeah, let's talk about Destiny. I want to talk about it first, so let's do it. Mike, you've been playing.
Wait, what? Are we changing our mind? Wait.
Oh, I thought you were like, can you do somebody else?
No, you you said you mentioned it last week that you didn't mention anything about.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, then yeah, let's do you, Nabishin. What you got? Save that Destiny, save that energy for you for later, Mike. We'll need it.
You got it. It's all good.
I mean, it's not much too new, other than the new thing, obviously. Played a little bit more Shadow. Got up to like right before the Coliseum one, because that's the one I'm supposed to do next. It's the one
the Coliseum ending. There's a whole ending based on the Coliseum.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like were you doing the different endings for it.
No, I'm doing the replay through in 60 frames.
Oh, okay.
So it's the Coliseum Colossi.
Okay.
The turtle looking one, basically.
Okay, got it.
One climbs up the wall, you hit the legs, you fall down, you hit his underbelly, then you'd be done.
Yeah. How do you feel about like the little Colossi in that game?
The first one is fine. The other one's annoying.
Yeah. I like the salamander one. I feel like that's not, maybe it's not similar to but the one that you have to knock down, the two like the bull ones. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of either of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like there's one other kind of smaller one.
Those are all only the real small ones.
Yeah.
Just those two. The bull one, we have to like have him hit the pillars for him to even like get himself exposed, and like the other one, like the first one you see, like because it's like, oh cool, he's small, and it's like, oh okay, then like you have to like figure that one out, make him fall down, and then you try to stab him in the back, while he's like riding around. So like I think it's cool the first time, not cool, and not as cool the second time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game's still super cool. But like I said, I was going to start up Eco, and I did it this morning actually. Played maybe about like an hour and a half of it, and that game's still really cool. I still really like it. I haven't played it since like it came out on PS3, the remaster of it, and like the first thing I noticed was like, oh man, the animation is not up to snuff to where basically what I'm spoiled with right now. And even like Shadow, or at least the remake of Shadow, I should say, like the animations, like as far as like where Wander runs and stuff like that, it looks really good. And like with Eco, it looks very like stilted.
He looks very stiff, like his arms don't bend that well, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good. But with I think her name was Yorda, the girl that you're helping. That animation is still good, like holding her hand, like taking her everywhere. I think that's like where the animation really went to, just like being able to hold her hand and go through these things, and like bending down to help her get across, and like extending your hand so she can like do these leaps that she can't really reach by herself. Those are still really cool and really good. And the puzzles are like are really fun in that game as well. I guess that's the combat I forgot about that isn't as good. It's not that it's bad per se. It's that like the enemies just take too many hits, or maybe it might be because I'm on New Game Plus, but like the enemies just take way too many hits. Like I'm just using a wooden stick and I'm hitting them, just trying to get them away, and like I have to hit them like maybe like up to like 20 times for them to like actually like disappear, type of thing. And it's not like just one guy too. It's like 5 up to like 10 of them like all at the same time. So it's like wow, it's like just flooding the screen with these enemy types. So like but yeah, Eco is still like a really cool game. It definitely hasn't aged too well. As far as the things I was really awestruck about when I originally played on PS2. At least the demo, I should say. I never played the actual game. But or even like when I played it on PS3 for the first time, like because I remember being like, oh man, this game's incredible. I don't know why people don't talk about this as much as Shadow, even though I played Shadow for the first time. It's on PS3 as well. And like Really enjoyed that game, but like yeah, I can kind of see why it's somewhat forgotten.
Yeah.
But like it's still a very very good decent game.
It's more, you know, culty, you know, in that I feel like it speaks to a smaller amount of people, but I think it still speaks to them really intently. There is like a weird level of kind of intimacy in that game, that you know, you don't get it everywhere, and it's just I remember at the time like hearing a lot of like, oh, it's just a big escort mission type thing, and I don't know, I feel like it does a lot of cool stuff with that idea.
Yeah.
And for me, Eco and The Last Guardian are obviously way more similar, just because I think they're mechanically way more similar. Just one, you have a young girl with you, and the other, you have a big bird dog. This might feel like a weird question. I don't know how much you're into this kind of stuff, but how do you, now that you've played Shadow and this kind of close together, and you know, Last Guardian not terribly too long ago, how do you feel about the architecture in those games?
As far as like in each of them, or just like
in
general?
in general, like, you know, how it is similar across those games, but essentially the kind of vibe that they're trying to, the world that they're trying to build up with the look and aesthetic of the ruins and all that. Does it
Sure.
does it feel kind of bland to you third time around with Eco, or is it still kind of cool for you? You know?
No, it's more of like it's more of like I see the aesthetic and like that I mean like I guess I guess he just really likes like brown walls everywhere, but like yeah, like I you know I vibe with it. I guess that's the best thing I can say about it. Like obviously like the remake of Shadow makes that it looks intensely better because like all the colors that they add to that game. And like all the liveliness, like with, the grass popping out and stuff like that. Like you can see a lot more of like, I guess you could say their intentions of what they want, and like you know they're just working with the power of what they had at the time. So like it does seem like it almost seems like kind of like an Unreal Engine, like a Gears of War kind of palette. I haven't seen Last Guardian in a long time, so that might be different as far as that game. But like you know everything is brown and gray. I mean you go outside and you see like green every once
There's a
in
lot
a
of
while.
green, yeah, in that game, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, but mostly you're inside, so like you're just like in a very like corridor type of thing. So like especially in Eco, so like you don't really get too much color. You like you only step outside like, every once in a while. Because like I like when I stopped, it was like I got to the windmill, so I was like, oh okay, so like there's like more to this than just you know just the inside of the castle type of thing. So like
Yeah,
but
I always like
I vibe with it still. Yeah.
I always thought, or my takeaway was always that I always thought it was cool how there were kind of like similar ruins. It made those games, like, even though they feel like they're in different parts of the world, that they're all in the same world, and that this same kind of ancient culture existed in these different parts of the world, maybe in different forms. I like that, kind of like in a similar way to in Tales of Zestiria and Tales of Berseria, right? Like one's a prequel to the other, and like you get to a point where you start seeing kind of like an ancient ruins and stuff that occupy different parts of the same world, and it makes the world feel interconnected without like explicitly stating it. Like there is like a uniformity to the statues, and like I think of like the knights and stuff in armor in Last Guardian, and the little statues to the colossi in Shadow, and then like all of the outcropping statues that you see like all over the place in Eco, and like how they're different but they're similar, and it to the point where it makes you feel like they were made by the same civilization, but maybe different sects of them. I just, there's a lot of care and stuff into it that I think is really cool, and I was wondering if it stood out to you, kind of freshly going back through multiple of those games, but it's a cool thing.
Yeah. Like like just talking about this like makes me want to like check out Last Guardian again, just because I haven't seen it in so long.
Me
but
too.
like yeah, like I like the way you're saying like he all seem like the same world and stuff like that, because I do really do feel that like because I don't know how, like, you know, like lore wise I should say, like how connected this is. Like I don't know like if Eco's supposed to be a kid from from Shadow of the Colossus, or if it equals a prequel or a sequel. I don't know. Like it doesn't really matter, honestly. In a way, but like because like I like enjoying what it is and like enjoying for what that game is. All three of those games are. So like yeah, it just works for me.
I like to in my head, in my total head canon, I like to think of them each as progressive prequels to one another, right? Like the creatures that were the bird dogs that survived would go on to grow and evolve into the Colossi, and house like an ancient demon, or come together through one, and then the demon reincarnated into a human that's reincarnated from Rwanda at the end of Last Colossus is like some race, new lineage of people that are occasionally like, maybe like a subgene that makes them born with horns, and then they're sent to the temple that Eco takes place in, right? Like they all kind of prerequisite one another. And like maybe the last guardian dog bird doesn't necessarily line up with the Colossi, or there's a different connection there, but you could make those connections, and they leave that room to do so. You can take it whichever way you want it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I was just curious. I was thinking about those games because you talked about them last week. So, what else you
got? Just screwing around like a lot of stuff. Like obviously more Shadow of the Hedgehog. I only have 3 more endings to do.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Shadow of the Hedgehog earlier when you were talking about Shadow of the Colossus. Just to clear up, I heard Shadow, and then I got confused. You said Coliseum. Are you trying to get a different ending? Yeah. See, that was.
Oh, okay. Now that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I realized that I must have sounded like a fucking lunatic, So I wanted to clear it up. Like, what is
full disclosure on my part, I didn't even know Shadow of the Hedgehog had different endings. Probably told me at some point.
Yeah, there's like all good, all bad, and then somewhere in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, you're going all good, you're going all bad, and middle stuff. So like, it's very annoying. It's very annoying going through that game 10 times to do unlock the Super Shadow so you get that ending, which I guess is the canonical ending, but I don't know.
I digress,
But yeah, just 3 more times, and then I'll be done, and then I'll move on to Sonic 06, which is like, which is funny, right?
The right response.
Which is funny because it's like, well, at least I only have to go through this game 3 times because like just with the 3 characters and stuff like that. But like going through like, because like what I'm feeling right now, like I'm debating like where I want to put Shadow the Hedgehog, because I'm I talk about this while I'm playing. It's like do I like this more than Sonic Hero? Because like it plays a lot better than that because it's not as splashy with the controls, but like, or not as loose, because those are insanely loose in Sonic Heroes. But like it's like the audacity to make me play this game 10 times. Like if I played through it once, I'd be much higher in that game than playing through it 10 times and like doing the same things over and over again. Not even give me a goddamn chapter select. That's the killer thing. And I have to like do this whole thing from the beginning every single time. So like it's probably like an hour playthrough for like to do like a storyline basically. So it was like it's not that much in theory, but like you feel it though. You feel how long
every second of it.
Yeah, it's killer, dude. But yeah, that's shout.
I just want to point out, and I'm not trying to harp here. I just love it because you and I and guests and Tony and Scott as well have like we've all had like the moments where we have like gone through whole franchises, or maybe not Scott actually, but we've like sat down and like binged a whole franchise or whatever. Like you with Mass Effect every now and again. I just did it with Kingdom Hearts a few months ago, or 2 months ago or whatever. God, time. And it's usually like you start it 1 week and then 2 episodes later it's done. And like this has been like the last 2 months of podcasts.
I know,
and I love it so much. It's like I look forward to Saturdays. Like, oh, we gotta get the Nabashin fucking Sonic update this week. So
Sonic update.
Yeah, and it's gonna be probably frustrated and sad, but
it only gets darker from here.
Yeah, exactly. It's the timeline will get darker until like Sonic Colors comes out, and then you'll like see the light again or something.
Right. Back today.
Yeah, you'll get to Mania. So Mania is like, are you gonna do Forces as well, or are you gonna stop at
Your
Mania?
Forces is on the list.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Like the goal is to like get through all these games before whatever the next
Sonic 2020.
Yeah, so,
Stop your watch right there. You know what I mean?
pretty much.
Cool.
But yeah, that's that. Other than that, like some PC stuff as far as like screwing around, see if I could get things to work. I got Mario Party 2 to work. So
Yeah, we would talk about maybe doing a 10th anniversary Mario Party stream. I want to do this. You know?
That'd be good.
Experimenting with a bunch of stuff, trying to check out if Parksys works for my stuff, and it does. It's just a matter of like knowing how to execute and stuff like that. So I'm just learning, looking at YouTube videos, figuring out how to get this stuff working for all of us. And other than that, like I guess it just really just goes to Tsushima.
Cool. Do you want to talk about Ghost now, or do you want to save it for later?
I can save it for later.
Okay. Because we got Paper Mario and Destiny stuff to get through now. Then now, Mike. Now that I've had my Shadow of the Colossus time, it's time.
Yes.
Let's discuss.
Shadow of the Colossus deserves its time for sure. Great game.
Great game.
Yeah, I'm here because like I said, we made that viewpoint video because I wanted to spread the Destiny 2 gospel. Because I think the game in its state right now is really good. But we lost that video, so now I'm here taking over your dang podcast for a little bit. Destiny 2 Season of the Arrivals is the current season of Destiny. And I think it's great right now.
Do you want to talk? Just mention quickly the kind of news that came out this week.
Yeah. There's some unfortunate news, which like in a way weirdly worked out. That video ended up not coming out because like a lot of it was talking about the expansion that was going to be in September, but now it has unfortunately been delayed to November 10th. I think is the new date now for Beyond Light, which is unfortunate, but like also like now that I kind of like that news came out and like people were kind of like looking back at what like Bungie kind of had announced for kind of the general roadmap to expansion, and even some of the stuff like the couple things they said that's going to be right after it. I think this ultimately works out because it seems like it might be like a slightly more fully featured like drop of stuff than kind of like where before it was kind of going to be the new stuff, but then like some of the other things are going to be trickled in, like they said, you know, like I didn't realize one of the talking points of like when they first showed expansion was that they were basically like we have that whole new space with Europa, but then they're going to bring back the Cosmodrome from Destiny 1. But I didn't realize when they said it there, but like what they were planning on doing, I guess originally, which I don't know how much this is going to change. I don't know if and I don't think this is like the main reason, but I think I could see it changing because like September jumping from September to November is I think a pretty big date skip. Basically, the Cosmodrome wasn't going to be one for one right at the launch of the expansion of Beyond Light. It would have been like a portion of it, and then over the course of like they said like the following season after the launch of the expansion, like the following 2 seasons, it would then expand to like the true full Cosmodrome from Destiny 1, but also like completely updated with, you know, Destiny 2 stuff. And like they said, like the strikes from original Destiny 1 that were in that zone are also coming back in that, and then they would have been spread across the previous seasons, as well as like them bringing back that first raid, Vault of Glass. It's not going to be initially with Beyond Light. It would have been like dropped in a later season. So now it seems more like maybe some of the stuff that would have been in that first season, which would have been that time frame, more November, December time frame, is maybe just going to end up kind of dropping with some of the main expansion now, which I think is kind of nice.
Yeah, this is a total quick real aside. I'm just curious because now I haven't really thought about it, but and Mike, you didn't really play Destiny 1, right?
No.
But a cool thing about
I replayed some of it like a man.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Earlier this summer, but I didn't play all of it.
This would have been stuff that you probably wouldn't have seen. But a cool thing about that game is like a lot of the raid entrances to like where they happen are in the explorable areas, which I'm just realizing, I guess, in this moment that is not the case in Destiny 2.
Right.
I'm trying to think of all the raids in Destiny 2, and yeah, I think all of them have their own kind of unique starting point that you can only get to from the map.
with the garden of the most recent one for Shadowkeep, you can
Oh yeah,
find
that's right.
on the moon.
That
But I don't. But I think you're right. The other ones, I don't think you can just kind of walk around in a space and get to.
And that's a good example because the way you get into Vault of Glass is actually kind of very similar to the Garden of Salvation. There's like a Vex gate on Venus that you go to, and
Right.
it is like, you know, it's just off in some corridor, and then there's a big room where you have to stand on some things and activate a door. So I wonder what, when you load into Vault of, like, one, where Vault of Glass's location will be on the map, because it is on Venus typically, but two, if you can like go wander off and see a little bit of Venus. On the side there, probably they'll have a door, but you know, I just wonder how much you'll be able to see.
Or yeah, because I know like the raid, the newest raid that they added, which is crazy to think that the newest raid was added with last year's expansion. There hasn't been a new raid since.
No little minor raids either, which they normally try and do.
No.
So makes me think their raid team is working on something special.
Well, I think yeah, that's gonna be because there's technically two technically coming with this stuff, because you have the one that's going to be coming with the main expansion, and then Vault of Glass is coming back.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that they said they're going to update in some ways. But
back on track.
It's always, you know, it's always bummer news, but at the same time it's like I'd rather it's the Miyamoto quote of like, you know, if you launch a game, you know, if you launch an unfinished game early, it's always bad. But if you a delayed game can eventually be good. It's something like his quote is something along the line. So like, I agree. Like I'd rather them make it the best it can be, and you know have a better launch of a thing, even if I gotta wait. We all have to wait like a couple extra months.
Yeah, and the you know, even after going independent with Shadowkeep, which had some issues on that first day, but. I wouldn't have considered it like a botched launch, so I understand them wanting to take their time. Cool. So you've been playing the Season of Rivals.
Yes.
We know it'll last 2 additional months. This season will be, I guess, the first 5-month season of Destiny.
Yeah, it's definitely I think it'll be the longest season in some capacity, unless like the one before Shadowkeep was also similarly long. I don't think it was though.
No, because the season of the Drifter and all them, they didn't have like the season pass at that point, so
right.
It wasn't really in the same kind of framework.
Yeah, it really wasn't a season thing. But it seems like they've also said that like this. I think it'll still have a more seasonal model with this stuff coming after Beyond Light, but they said it'll be more like Post Forsaken, where that stuff won't just leave after the end of the season. I know they said that.
Yeah.
So that's like nice to hear. But yeah, speaking of Destiny now, I think it's really good because they're basically building towards that expansion at the end of that's now in November, where longtime Destiny lore nerds know about the pyramid ships. They were in like super old, I think like concept art for original Destiny, and then at the end of Destiny 2, they did like a little tease where they showed, you know, those travelers of light exploded through the galaxy, and then you saw the pyramid ships wake up and start kind of flying around. So now they're finally here in like the Destiny like worlds you can go to now. It started first with Io, which is one of like the original planets from Destiny 2. Right now you just go to that planet, and there's just a massive pyramid ship in the skybox now with like little pyramid ships, like smaller versions of those ships, like flying over. You can just see them flying around the sky over there, just kind of being ominous. And like the music subtly changed, where it's still kind of like the theme of Io that plays, but then it has like this like ominous theme that plays that is like with the darkness. It's kind of like a blah, kind of like undertone sound in there. It's really nice. So that kind of happened first, and then like this new public event that is now. I thought it's not on that planet currently because it's on a different planet where pyramid ships are now at. But basically it's a new public event they added. It was kind of like the main draw of the like, coming back week to week, where you do this event. It then and it's kind of like part Gambit from the multiplayer mode, part like you know wave based fighting dudes, where you're basically taking out enemies. gathering these little like triangle motes and then storing them into this thing and charging it up until a bunch of Takens show up that are trying to stop you from communicating with like the pyramid ships. Essentially, like the whole premise of the season is the pyramid ships show up and two of the characters, the Drifter, who's the Gambit guy, and Eris Morn, who is brought back in Shadowkeeper, are trying to communicate with the ships in the darkness. And like that's like the whole premise of it. So there's a whole bunch of cool lore with that kind of stuff. Because a whole bunch of stuff a few weeks later have popped off even more. Where now the pyramid ships are just on like all of like half of the planets in the system. So it's like Io, Mercury, Mars, and Titan, which are the 4 planets. And then you can go to those planets and just see the ships just kind of honestly in the corner. You can go to the vendors on each of those planets, and they have their own little new weekly bounties that are basically essentially kind of implying that you're helping them prepare to evacuate the planets entirely. So like doing those, and like there's an extra quest now that has you kind of helping them do those bounties. And then as you do those, you unlock a lore that has them like kind of talking through like, do they want to leave the planets? Do they think leaving the planets is right, or abandoning this or that, or there's Anna Bray, who's with like the big AI mind Rasputin, and she's talking about figuring out a way to like put Rasputin into like a robot body or something maybe, or some way of transporting him or whatever, so they can't, he can't be destroyed on the planet more or less. And then there's like Sloane, who was trying to rebuild Titan and like kind of take over from the Fallen. And she's kind of adamant and like maybe kind of is talking about not wanting to leave, and there's like a bunch of cool like lore stuff essentially involved with that.
It's cool to see you get into it, because I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong here, so feel free to correct me, but I feel like you were less into the lore at certain points, like when we started with Shadowkeep, but now I feel like you've like fully come around to it.
Yeah, I think that's just so some of it has definitely helps that we're in a time where I can just
play
lost
Destiny.
in something.
yeah.
Like for like hours a day, where before it was like I was working a 40 hour week job, also like trying to make content for the site.
Yeah.
Also
Totally.
like commuting between that job, so it's like I had so little time to just do much of anything, let alone like play a bunch of Destiny. So the season dropped, and I just kind of like fell back in hard. And I would say like to you don't really have to play as much as I've been playing personally to kind of see the weekly stuff, because really it amounts to you can log in for the weekly reset, see where that contact, the new public event, is happening. Right now it's either on Io or it's on Titan. It hasn't shown up on the other 2 planets where the pyramid ships are yet, but it might. Who knows? They haven't really said yet whether or not it'll be there. Do that public event like 2 or 3 times. If you get the heroic version of it, it might only be like 2 times. And then you get another step, which is collecting umbral traces, which is basic. It basically is taking you through a lot of the content that they're ultimately what they've talked about with the coming expansion is they're going to be vaulting some of the older, kind of less played content from early Destiny 2 in place of the new content for the expansion and the following seasons. So like they're essentially, conveniently all these pyramid ships have showed up on the planets that they've said are more than likely going to get vaulted and kind of taken out of the game for a time. And all of the events, like some of the other things around them, like some of the early raids and like the menagerie and like some of the Gambit stuff is going to be not in the game by the come of this following expansion in November. So a lot of it is just kind of like, hey, you can play these now, and like they're giving you a lot more rewards for playing specific things, because there's a specific special Umbral Engram that is dropping from basically literally anything. Like you saw when we were playing, like I was easily filling up an inventory of those things just by kind of playing for a little bit. And then you go back to the tower, and then where the Drifter is, there's this Umbral Decoder, and I forget what it's called. It's like a prism caster or something like that.
Yeah, caster, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, and basically you can then take those engrams, and you're earning this specific currency for the season, that you can then like basically spec the engrams to be more specific things that you want. And as you level up that caster, you can get like more and more specific of like, hey, if I want this like auto rifle or a bow or rocket launcher from this specific season, then I can spec it to this specific type of engram, this focused engram, or if I want a piece of armor that has more mobility or more like of a specific stat that they added back in Shadowkeep, then you can pick this engram, and then it'll pop, and then it'll give you like a piece of armor with that, or it'll give you a better chance to get a specific weapon that you want or you're trying to chase, so you can get the better stat rolls or the better perks on it and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
and
they've definitely like made it a lot easier to like, if you want to get this good stuff from the current season or from even past seasons, you can kind of get it right now relatively easily.
yeah, I like that they specifically let you get stuff from the past seasons, kind of
Yeah.
from Shadowkeep and leading up to now, and also like you had said that it like modernizes the gear, so that way it'll kind of be able to carry forward.
Yeah. Yeah, because
with whatever
that's
the
like
new
another
cap.
part of. Yeah, correct. Yeah, there's another part of like they're basically going to be sunsetting specific weapons and armor sets that are like tied to some of that earlier stuff too, and even some stuff that's like not like like they're kind of it's a combination of like one just people are just using the same weapons over and over again, like Crucible and some of the PvP stuff is like kind of really bad right now because there's like a grenade launcher, I think it's called Mountaintop, and then there's like there's like an SMG, and like those are the two weapons. Like if you're not using those weapons in PvP, like you don't stand a chance, like kind of thing.
Mm.
And like there's a couple other like things, like there's like some sniper rifles and stuff that are really like those high end kind of like pro players that are playing a whole lot of the game that are like doing all the things to get those specific weapons. Like those weapons are just dominating everything and kind of making it not fun for everybody else, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So those weapons in particular are getting sunsetted. There's a whole bunch of weapons like you can specifically look on the weapon itself, and now it'll show like this weapon's cap right now is 1060, which is the current season cap, and then there's other ones that the cap is 1360, which people are assuming is the cap for
The expansion.
not Beyond Light, but like next year's expansion, the Witch Queen, which they already announced.
Got it.
So like you'll be able to use those weapons and probably at least until the next expansion and then beyond. So there's a whole bunch of weapons that's happening too. Like I think like the only things I've seen so far that aren't affected by it at all are the raid, like a lot of the raid armor sets that you can get right now, or I don't think are affected. There's a couple raid weapons that also don't have it. Like you can, like again, you can just like when you look at your like weapon stat page, you can like hover over the power score for the weapon, and it'll tell you like all those stats and stuff. But yeah, they're just kind of, I think they're just kind of doing a lot of stuff to try and soft reset the game to an extent. And I think another big thing that they haven't really talked about, and maybe also is a little bit why the expansion maybe got delayed as well, is I think a big section of that game, that reset, is also probably going to be a lot of a new player onboarding type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because the stuff that's in the game right now is just not good. Because basically, I think what it is right now, I haven't tried it myself. Just kind of what I've heard from offhand from people is basically right now they remade the very first mission of Destiny 1 where you like get revived in the Cosmodrome, and then you go through there and fight some Fallen and get some basic stuff, and then you fly to the tower. So you basically do that in Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get dropped to the tower, and then it just lets you go talk. Then it gives you like a little brief mission to go talk to all the people, and then it's just like, all right, you did that, now go. And then you can literally go to like mostly anywhere. I think it's like you can go to any destination. You can jump into PvP. You can jump into Gambit. You can jump into any of the expand like story
Campaigns.
content or missions you have.
Do you know what power level it puts you at if you do that?
I think it's 750 is.
Oh.
750 is like the very baseline starting power level that I think it puts you at, and then it very quickly jumps you up. And I think like the first like softer cap you hit, I think, is like 1,000, and then once you hit 1,000, then that's when you start after like doing those specific things that say like, hey, this has a powerful engram reward, and then I think like it changes from there.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it is right now.
Yeah, that is wild. I get there's no campaign to start with now. It makes sense. It's just
Yeah,
if they are taking out the Red War just as a whole thing in
yeah, that's pretty
Beyond
much.
Light, what
They're pretty. They're yeah.
what are they gonna do?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because if you look at like all the content they're taking out is basically like the current content that is kind of free to play, and it's kind of the onboarding like beginner stuff for Destiny 2 and for like new players coming in. So if they're removing all of that, they got to be like replacing it with something. 'Cause otherwise, that would be really bad. If
Yeah,
there's just nothing people could do like really do for free, for one, and some way of like easing them into how the game works.
and
'Cause
and
there's a lot going on in the game.
yeah, you're right. Like all of that is New Light technically. Like I guess New
Yeah.
Light also includes Forsaken, I believe.
For Forsaken's, so New Light you can go to all the environments, but you can't do like campaign stuff and some of like the higher level like stuff.
Got it.
So you can't do like raids or like any of the content that is
You can do
like
the Leviathan raid. You can do everything that's
yeah you can do
vanilla.
basically everything from year one of Destiny is like free to play. So that's like the Red War,
So if they if they gut it,
Christmas Paris, Warmind.
take all that
Yeah,
out.
like-
What is New Light?
Yeah, they're taking all of that out because like all the planets that are related to that are going. All the strikes from those planets are going. Any of the kind of like cool like exotic quests are going. So like the Whisper of the Worm exotic quest is on Io, so that's gonna go.
Mhm.
I think there's like one other one like that that's gonna go. Everything from those planets is basically going with this expansion in the fall. So like they're gonna. I'm assuming that's. I'm kind of just assuming that's kind of what the Cosmodrome stuff is gonna be. Like I think they're gonna. Like the first mission, like I said, they remade the first mission on the Cosmodrome in Destiny 2 already for the free-to-play players. So I think they're just gonna like continue that, and then you'll just maybe the Cosmodrome in some form for at least a little bit will kind of be that like kind of onboarding space
Yeah, I
for
think
players.
you could do like three super simple missions running around the Cosmodrome and kind of introduce a lot of the concepts of Destiny to someone.
Yeah.
It just makes me really. I mean, like it's been true for a very long time that it's very difficult. Some might even say impossible without another human being to help you to just pick up and
Yeah.
fully just understand what Destiny is and how to play it.
Yeah.
It was true
100%.
true of me. Like getting it, like Tony had to like sit me down and be like, all right, this is what we got to do. Like I just
Right.
I didn't get it until then, and
Yeah.
a lot of like what you and I go through is like our group, all of us kind of either coming together and figuring it out organically, or them telling us like, okay, you got to do this. And
Yeah. And that's definitely where now that I've kind of gone into a weird Destiny 2 pit, I've definitely become more and more that person. Because I would say, like, we talked about in the video of, like, I would say prior to a lot of this current season, when I play Destiny, it was kind of like how most people do it, where it's like, hey, the new game comes out, and I played for a bit, our new expansion comes out, and I played for a little bit, and then usually I kind of play it until, like, the first update after that expansion or update comes out, and
basically
then
the
it's
end
a
of
little,
that
like,
season, yeah.
and it's usually half the time it's like kind of so it's like, okay, I'm kind of good, I can now move on to other video games, and then it ramps back up again, where granted, like it's a whole mess of like, we're still stuck inside. I'm still probably quarantined for forever in some weird capacities. I don't really know personal life wise, but it just kind of lined up where like all this got announced, new season of Destiny came out, there's not a big swath of video games coming out, so to speak. So I got back into it and just kind of started playing on PC. One, also, it's really nice playing on PC. Like that game just runs really looks great, runs really well. Load times are great. So that's all been nice.
I know. Soon.
Great.
Hopefully load times on PS5 or what they say, but I'm sure there will still be load times in Destiny.
Yeah. So that's been super nice. And yeah, and it's just, I was cognizant enough of Destiny to then be like, all right, I kind of am doing the new stuff, and the new stuff's super great, and I'm excited to see the new threads because it is legitimately
It's
an
cool,
ongoing,
dude.
Yeah, it is a legitimate like ongoing thing of like the ships are here now, like this thing they've been building up for, like they've had it like sort of in the background of Destiny 2 at least for like 3 years, and then now they're slowly building to that week to week because the part I didn't get to is like after you do those first parts of like you do the public event, the contact public event, then you do the second part of the mission, and then you unlock a like essentially like a story, quote unquote story quest, where it does like more or less repeat every week of like you do the same 3 missions, but at the end of the mission, you go to this place on Io. That you've seen it before, where like the lore, and like some like the story bits in Destiny 2 or original Destiny 2, where you first go to Io, and it's like this whole space where the traveler touched the planet originally, so it's seen as this like holy ground. Now the pyramid is basically over that on the planet, and like draining it of energy or doing something crazy sinister with that, kind of more or less. So like the story mission takes kind of place where you're in that kind of space, and you walk in this area, and there's this giant crazy looking silver tree growing that people are trying to figure out what it's doing. And Eris Morn is there. So at the end, so once you do the story mission, you come back to this place and you talk to Eris, and she has like a new kind of piece of lore, and also she'll kind of have this whole dialogue of like what the words, or the like whatever the darkness is saying to her, and like and she's trying to infer or imply of like what they're trying to say to her from that. So it's an ongoing thing. I definitely think like now that everything's been kind of thrown off, obviously with the expansion now being in November, I think that'll kind of shift in some way. So like it probably won't be as interesting as it was. Then like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we got to the initial point where the expansion was kind of going to drop, and
it's no more cutscenes anymore.
Building stuff, and then like maybe it'll be a fall off, because I don't think they're going to like record a bunch of new dialogues, or maybe they'll have to like spread out some of that stuff more or something. I don't know how.
I think they would, honestly. I think
do that stuff.
They would text the voice actors for Eris Morn and be like, hey, like let's do a little bit more of this, and
to say some weird creepy shit about the
darkness tempting you and telling you that maybe it's not all about good and evil, and it's all about neutral forces or something, stuff like that. Yeah. It is cool because I think about when we were streaming in October of last year, playing Destiny, excited about Destiny, getting ready for the raid and all that first day, and we went down and did that mission where we saw the ship together, and we were both like, whoa. And we were both not expecting that. That was something that they had kept close to the chest to not spoil for people for day one. And we were both like, I don't know what's going to happen. And here we are, not even a full year later, and those ships are here. They're doing stuff. It is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty ominous.
It's the first time for me playing Destiny where, and like I think there was some of this for vanilla Destiny heads that went into Taken King, and you finally get to see Oryx and the Taken and all that. Like I think there was some of that, and that's why people like the lore. People love Destiny Taken King as well, and why Taken King is so great. It does a lot of great things. But like it was cool to see the ideas that had been at play for so long put into action and then continued on so quickly, But then you got that weird mid-season of the Dawn where it was like, this is kind of dumb. Just like Season of the Armory and like Season of Osiris and stuff before, like the mid-season hump that Destiny still got to figure out.
They want to fill it, and it's still gonna be interesting to see, because I think they're just doing a lot of restructuring of the game, because like I think obviously like we said, they're on their own now, and I think they're with that Beyond Light, I think you'll infer a lot of stuff with that initial reveal of Beyond Light, where they're like, all right, we're thinking about Destiny thing, we're not doing 3. Here's Beyond Light, the fall expansion, but also, by the way, here's literally the expansions, names of the expansions, at least for the next 2 years. And you can, and like they've already built things in the lore of Destiny 2 right now that you can read and infer things for those expansions 2 years from now. So it's like very clear that they're like very much thinking about
how this is
how to build a more long-term and ongoing thing, rather than the thing you play for maybe like a couple weeks in a new expansion and then drop, and then come back like a year later or like a couple months later. To play the cool thing they did again. That I think they want to have a more continuous thing.
Yeah, it's
which I think is good and bad, right? It's like there'll be a good and bad to that of like, I think even with me, I think I'll hit a point where it's like, all right, I want to know what's going on with Destiny, but also I want to play this new video game or these new consoles are coming out. Like that's another thing to talk about. Of like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of like they pushed this back also to kind of hedge a bet on next gen as well, because I think a lot of things are now landing in November, and I think it's pretty safe to start saying that those new consoles are November.
Yeah.
Because we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think is November.
Yep.
Cyberpunk's
Cyberpunk,
November.
Destiny.
Now Destiny's also November. We don't know when Halo Infinite is. We'll know when that is in a week. We'll probably talk more about that. But I feel very personally confident that like we're gonna get those consoles like with you can look at like Destiny's and those 3 games dates that are like within the same 2-3 weeks, and for like the consoles will be either those weeks or a week before or a week around there. Like I think it's pretty safe to say.
Yeah. Just run out of room for that week to, whatever Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever that's going to fall on. Probably a Friday. So.
But I'll be curious to see how I'm gonna play that expansion, but also it's like I'll be curious to see how if that affects affects the game in some ways.
Yeah.
Like having it comes out like a week before Cyberpunk comes out.
Yeah.
So like,
and they're both first-person
they're-
RPGs, different multiplayer versus single player, but still.
Yeah, like there'll still be like some people who have different feelings on that, but like but personally I want to play both those games. So like I think there's still plenty of other people that'll want that too. So I'm curious to see how they'll make the difference, and just the money factor, like potentially buying a new console and
New
games,
boxes on shelves, new disc cases, new things, new people buying bundles and stuff.
People are might those consoles are probably gonna be expensive, so some people might pick and choose.
It's a weird thing because I think about like when PS4 or Xbox One launched and how a lot of the marketplace for those consoles was barren and a lot of free-to-play games and like things like Blacklight Retribution and the Space Ninja one. But like things like that. Warframe, thank you.
Warframe.
But like they took up a lot of real estate on those marketplaces at launch because that was it, like these free to play things that were really easy of like, hey, if you need something, here's a free thing that you can jump into. But now that's not going to be the case, like I assume PlayStation 5 will have the games that are backwards compatible for PS4 just on the marketplace from day one. The larger conversation is to if they can't get that out at launch, and we'll figure that out later. But like Xbox is going to have every fucking game there, like literally everything you see now will be there in addition to Game Pass. In addition, like the mainstay free to play games of like you got a new console, you need something to play. Here's Fortnite, like if Destiny is one of those, Destiny is one of those games as well, the free to play version of it, but it's not going to be alone on the front page like it would have been circa launch of PS4, Xbox One. So it is going to be very curious to see if way more shit gets lost at a console launch this time around versus previously. But
and I think like
it's a one-on-one topic, Nobishin. Bookmark that one. We're going to talk about that one later.
Yeah, because like not to say like there isn't a big group of people on consoles playing Destiny, but I would say like at least having played a bunch on PC now, like I feel like I would actually say that's probably like the biggest probably group of people that I've seen.
Yeah.
Playing Destiny, like I'm not looking at concurrent player numbers specifically, but like I just like that's the general feel I get of like I feel like I can at least go on Twitch and see a lot of people playing Destiny, and everyone's pretty much playing it on PC. And I would say that's maybe because like especially at least right now, like the more hardcore Destiny fans and people are probably playing it right now, obviously. But I feel like just because the consoles of we're in that last year of the current gen consoles, so like even Destiny's kind of outgrowing them. So I think that's just a matter of fact that like it's a better game at least right now on PC. That'll be interesting to see how everything stacks up this year.
Yeah, we'll know soon. Like it's creeping. We're gonna be in November before you fucking know it. You know what I mean?
We're already halfway through July.
How about
random Disney Crossing?
Please.
I don't really want to. But like I was just curious. Whatever happened to that queen and I guess her brother?
What,
From the first game?
Savathun?
Marthal and Uldren. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, got it. Yes.
So basically, like a lot of the stuff with them, they kind of came back in Destiny 2 with Forsaken, which was not last year's expansion, but the year before.
Yeah, 'cause I played Destiny 2. I didn't see them at all.
They're not in vanilla Destiny 2 at all. They kind of
Yeah,
disappeared.
they're not in vanilla Destiny 2. They're in that first expansion that came out after Destiny 2.
Did you know what happened to them in the Taken King option?
No, I was just asking.
They
I just
like
didn't know what happened to those characters.
they in the opening cutscene of Taken King, you know, the awoken who are that she's the queen of the awoken and her younger brother, they attack Oryx's ship and their whole fleet gets destroyed. So it's like people were like, "Oh, is Marasov dead?" You know, she's not. Spoilers. Is her brother dead? You know, her brother did some shit off screen and then got sent to prison, as it turns out.
Because he basically like I was actually watching lore videos about this like literally like yesterday. That's where I'm at in Destiny.
Hell
Just, like,
yes.
I've been watching a lot of Bife videos.
Bife's the best, man.
Yeah, he is. But basically, like you said, in Destiny 1, when the Taken King came out, they went to go fight Oryx, this big evil Hive King, and their whole fleet got wiped out. And basically from then until later, when that Destiny 2 expansion happened, they were just kind of presumed sort of dead. But like there were some implications that they might be not dead once that expansion started getting built up, and basically the whole thing was Uldren, who's the queen's brother, basically was trying to he didn't think Mara was dead, the queen was dead, and he was trying to like find her, and he was going over the galaxy, and he was kind of slowly driving him crazy, and then the darkness started taking him over. So basically that led him to get imprisoned by some of the main good guys in the Destiny world, and they're like this was kind of happening like sort of in the, like Alex said, in the background of Destiny 2. Then Forsaken
in the main game.
Yeah, like while Red War was going on, Uldren was looking for Marasov and got arrested and sent to prison.
Yeah. So basically at the start of Forsaken, which was the second basically big campaign of Destiny 2, the second year expansion, you go to this big prison, the prison of elders, where he was being captured, and you find out that he was essentially working with this new like band of enemies that were the type of aliens that were already in Destiny, but now they've been like mutated into these crazy versions. They're called the Scorn, and he's basically like leading them and like now he's the ruler of them. Essentially, like he basically played them to become the ruler of them, so they would help him find his sister. And at this point, he's like fully gone like crazy dark mode, like he's been taken over. And like the very first scene, spoilers of the very first scene and story of that, he kills Kate 6.
Okay, so he kills K6.
He kills Kate 6, and then that's like the whole thing of Forsaken is you going after him and trying to track him down and taking down all of the Scorn big bad guys that are part of his group to track him down. And then basically at the end of Forsaken, you basically finally track him down to the home world of like his queen and his like how they're the Awoken, like the blue-skinned people. You basically like track them down to the like their home world essentially, which is the Dreaming City.
The Dreaming City.
Yeah, which is a fantastic place. It's really good. You basically track him down to there, and then he is basically trying to save Mara, but it turns out the whole time like he was seeing visions of his sister. That's why he thought she was alive. But it was actually the darkness like feeding him this crazy stuff, like visions and stuff to essentially let them loose into our world, so to speak. So basically, like the end of that expansion was him thinking he was freeing Mara Saw from this whole event, but he was actually letting all this crazy darkness monsters into the world. And then the last scene is like in the CG scene of him getting eaten by this crazy demon monster, and you fight the monster, and then you think he's dead, but then he's actually not dead from that fight either. Then you shoot him.
But it doesn't end there, and I found this out recently.
It doesn't end there either, because there was it like a post? I don't think it was a post-credits like scene. I don't know where the scene was, but
it's a cutscene that they added to the game at some point, I believe.
Yeah, but basically you see this like this table on the like in the Dreaming City. It's like a whole CG scene, and there's like a dude under a cloak or whatever on this table, and then all of a sudden you just see this random ghost flying around, kind of around the area, and then the ghost flies up to the cloak, and then does the kind of like Destiny, like the whole world of like the people with the light can be revived by these ghosts, and that's how they live eternally or whatever. The ghost revives the person out of that cloak. You see them sit up, and the cloak revealed, and it's Aldrin. So the Aldrin was brought back to life by this ghost. But the thing with that is when people are brought back as guardians, with that, they lose all the memories of before everything that happened. So basically, he is alive, but he has no recollection of his sister now. Like what all of the events, like he doesn't know that he killed Kate Six or did this or that, and like there's a whole bunch of lore now. Like there's lore where he's currently at that's kind of like told through like text lore in the game now, where he's basically been like traveling these different planets and kind of been in hiding because like nobody likes him.
Nobody likes him.
But
Yeah.
they don't. But like no. But they're implying that like no one's really told him specifically why, so he doesn't know why either. So he's just kind of being in hiding still. And the current implication now is that people think that he is going to be in the Cosmodrome in the expansions.
Oh, is like the quest giver there?
Yeah, or like he'll be there in some way, shape, or form. Because also going way back before Destiny 1 came out, and before they did like a big reset on the story and the world kind of thing, there was a bunch of pre-release footage of him being known as a character called the Crow, and like there's like even like full-on cutscenes where you can see like trailer scenes of him like pointing a gun at your Guardian character like in the Cosmodrome, and he's like talking to you about stuff. So people are thinking he might be they might be like kind of sort of reviving that character in Destiny 2 when they bring back that place from the first one.
Interesting.
So we don't know for sure. And then with the Queen characters, yeah, she was basically in the Dreaming City because it's all fucked up from the darkness stuff. She was actually there. Like I think she was there the whole time, right? Wasn't that the?
Yeah,
the
she was hiding
thing?
in like a secret dimension that she has access
Yeah,
to.
she was basically being protected by a bunch of the Awoken people in a different dimension on that city from the Taken, because like the Taken has taken over that whole place, and she's basically in hiding there until the Awoken people can figure out how to like save that homeworld, the Dreaming City, from like the Taken and all the darkness stuff going on there.
There's a ton of good stuff, like like
Yeah, there's a bunch of crazy sci-fi.
Marasov is the Queen of the Awoken. She was the first Awoken, right? If you go into the lore bits, you see the incident that made her Awoken. She was on a ship attacked by a pyramid ship, and it used its gravity weapons to destroy her and like unmake her and remake her, and she was reborn as the Awoken. That's where the first Awoken came from, right? So like this implication when you talk to Marasov, like how Mike kind of described going and talking to Eris weekly right now in the current season, you did the same with Marasov in the first season of Forsaken, and at some point she says like, hey, I have to go, there's something happening, and I have to go get ready, and disappears, and on her desk when that happens is a pyramid ship, like a little projector of it, right? So like there's a lot of stuff that interconnects, and it's coming to fruition in a big way that is just cool to see. So
yeah, there's so many underlying seeds of stuff like the pyramid ships, and the other thing for like the expansion that is next year, which is called the Witch Queen. Like there's been an underlying hive queen called Savathun, who's like been this underlying like queen.
Savathun always causing trouble,
Yeah, like she's also another one that like a lot of the crazy events that have happened to us, like she's also played a big part in that, and she's like technically the sister of, I think, isn't
Oryx.
she the sister of Oryx?
Yeah.
Or I thought it was either her or Crota.
Crota is the son of Oryx, and
Son of Oryx.
Savathun is the sister of Oryx.
Yeah.
But Savathun has $3. Anyway, there's a lot of Destiny.
Yeah. There's a whole lot.
I'm glad that the lore is speaking to you, that everything's speaking to you. It's one of those things where I'm just in a weird spot with video games, but I want to be playing Destiny at the very least. So.
Yeah, and I think that's why that's personally like my weird spot in video games is just like there are some new games out, and like I'm also looking at some of smaller indie games for the indie highlights stuff I do, and like I have some cool games picked out. It's just just weird spot mentally and everything, so I just like ended up instead of getting into trying a bunch and playing a different bunch of games, I just like fell into this really hard, and probably the most I played this game and like gotten into some of this stuff, like since probably
Shadowkeep started, probably.
like honestly even before that, because like I played a lot in Shadowkeep, but not as much as I played now.
Sure.
I'd probably say like vanilla Destiny 2 I played a lot, but then fell off pretty hard when Curse of Osiris came out. And then Forsaken we played a lot, but that was just mostly to try and do that raid because I never did a raid before.
Mm-hmm.
And then that like super burned me out because I was playing for like super hardcore for 2 weeks straight trying to get all the powerful stuff. Where like right now it's like I am trying to get powered up, but now it's just like there's so much in that game, and like a lot of the stuff even from those previous stuff I just didn't even bother doing. Like it was just I was like doing the going around and collecting all the different armor pieces from the different vendors that are going to be gone, like going back into the Dreaming City and finding all the weird collectibles that get you all the lore and stuff in that game.
Yeah.
It's like a side of that game I just never really bothered messing with too much. So now I just kind of been doing that, and it's like a very chill experience,
Yeah.
and a very
meditative
relaxing experience. And then just I can sit. There's been days where I just woke up at woke up probably like 9 a.m., made breakfast, and then like probably by 10 to 11 a.m. I was playing Destiny. And then I would just like turn on music or turn on like a streamer and probably play Destiny till 9 o'clock at night.
till the sun goes down.
Been a few days of that, unfortunately, but yeah.
I get it. It's comfort food,
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Tony, video games. Tony Horvath.
Video games.
What you been playing, man?
Well, the ebb and flow Path of Exile has come back in high tide.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd kind of like moved a little bit away and playing a little bit less because I was having an issue with my computer where the current cooling system that I had was not working well enough. So as soon as I'd start a more intensive game on my computer, it would immediately go up to like 90 degrees on all cores on my CPU, which is pretty fucking high.
That sounds toasty, yeah.
So I ordered a new CPU cooler. Also, my CPU cooler was hella loud. The original liquid pump that I had, it failed a year ago, so I went out to a Best Buy on short notice and bought a Hyper 212 Evo Black Edition.
I remember
and
this.
That worked for a year. It's a $30 cooler that worked very well for a full year. And I had meant to replace it in short order, but just didn't. So anyway, I bought a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4, which the only place I could find it right now was on Newegg. So luckily they had one because everywhere else is fucking impossible to find computer components.
Did you say Be Quiet Dark Rock 4?
4.
Whoa.
Yeah. Be Quiet's the brand.
Okay.
I like their stuff because they, as one might assume by the name, build their computer components to be very quiet. And I don't like a lot of fan noise coming from my tower.
It's a big fan.
It's large, yes.
Yeah, it's in charge as well. I just had to see what it looked like.
Big ass block
now
of radiator fins.
I'm not trying to diminish this.
Diminish
the person in question here. I don't want you to just rag on them because I'm sure they probably did many things wrong. But did you watch a video of Henry Cavill building a PC this week? Question for you, Tony.
No, I don't know who that is.
Henry Cavill played Superman in the most recent Superman movies and Justice League.
If I were to watch movies.
Listen, I get it. He was also in a Mission Impossible movie. Was really good in that. Mustache was questionable, but there's a whole bag of worms with that. We won't get into it.
Right.
But he very, very large man that many people I know, not naming names here, that would like to sit on his lap, just in general, in a platonic or non-sexual way.
I want to sit on a lot of people's lap just because.
Exactly. He did a video, I guess, for MTV, for their viral team of him building a PC over the course of a few days, and he had like the coolant. I think it was the coolant, or whatever cooled his CPU. It had like a little screen on it, a little circular screen that tells you the temperature of the CPU and GPU.
Okay.
and I thought it was cool. So I didn't. Did you get one like that, Tony? This is my point of reference.
It's a big black block of radiator fins.
Mm-hmm.
With heat tubes running through them, and there's a fan in the middle of it and a fan on the outside of it that pushes the air through to pull the heat off of the fins and out the back of the case.
Okay.
It's very exciting.
It sounds
really
exciting.
Fucking huge. It's big.
Did it come already? Did you already get all set up and all that?
Yeah, so I ordered next day shipping. This was on Monday, and it showed up on Wednesday.
Yeah, so Thursday or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and then I didn't do it on Wednesday because I couldn't find my set of electronics screwdrivers. I'm kind of stuffing around my house and all over the place right now.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find where they were, so I was like, fuck it, I'll figure this out tomorrow. Next day came around, and I was like, whatever, I'm just going to use regular screwdrivers. And then I found out that it includes a screwdriver in the box. Because there's like one step of the installation that requires an extremely long screwdriver, so they just give that to you.
That's how kind of them.
Yeah, right. And so, but then I realized I don't have any isopropyl alcohol in my house, which you need for the installation.
Yeah, for the cooling paste.
To clean the thermal paste
Thermal
off
paste.
of the CPU,
Mm-hmm.
and just to clean it really before you apply.
Those are hard
stuff.
to come by nowadays.
It is very hard to find isopropyl alcohol. It took me 4 hours to find isopropyl alcohol. So yeah, I went out and I found some of that. Took most of the day. And then I installed it, and my CPU temperatures dropped from idling at 60 degrees to idling at 30 degrees.
Nice.
Which is great.
Extra chill, I would say.
Yeah, basically I'd been this problem had like come up about like maybe a week and a half ago, and that's kind of when I stopped playing Path, because Path is pretty CPU intensive. So I fixed the issue. I was like, all right, time to play Path of Exile again. So I started a new character, and I've been playing that, and it's nice and fun.
But does this mean you lose the belt?
No, I'm using it still.
Okay, good. I was worried that if you start a new character, they can't use any of the loot of the other characters.
Nah, you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All the stuff from my old character, I've either sold, I've repurposed, or is still being used.
And just to re-clarify for myself, that's like you start as a class, but you can kind of be whatever with the way the skill tree works, right?
I mean, it's so the class that you pick, everybody has the same big passive tree.
Mm-hmm.
The class that you pick determines where you start on that tree. And each class has a set of ascendancies, which you can, which basically are little mini trees off to the side, only for that class. And you get to pick 8 nodes from there.
Okay.
So for some characters, it is best to, ideally you pick whatever ascendancy matches what you want to do the best, and then if you can do what you want to do on the passive tree from that starting point efficiently, then that's a good way to go. The other class that I had spoken about is good at doing all things, but not the best at some things. This was one of the cases where it's just better to play the dedicated class for this one.
Yeah. Okay.
So
makes sense.
So yeah, I leveled my 4th character of the league.
Nice.
And yeah, it's been a good time. The gear that this build is miles more expensive than anything that I have done previously. Mostly just because everything right now is expensive. It's over a month into a 3-month league where crafting GG gear, which is like the best gear, like the best item basically, is pretty attainable. So everybody has hella money. And it's everybody, because no one's spending it on their crafting, they're using the mechanic. So it just makes everything super expensive.
Yikes.
So
it sounds like society, it makes sense. Just kind of adapts to the situation.
Yeah, I have to do less to play this build, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The first build that I played, you have to press 3 buttons. This one, you press 1 button.
Ooh.
I was looking at a build for Path when I was trying to figure out what to do, on this new character. There's one that you don't press any buttons.
It just happens around you?
Yeah, basically it's just a walk. Literally, the build's called Walking Simulator. And it's a build that ignites everything around you for massive fire damage. So you just walk around, and through these weird interactions on the items and the passives and everything around you bursts into flame and burns to death.
That's kind of like
It's pretty metal.
Yeah, it is pretty metal. It is also like this weird kind of apocalyptic story of like this person who can't make contact with anyone. Everything just dies around me.
Exactly. Yeah, there's another there's a guy who makes all these like, thematic or kind of meme centric builds every league, and he came out with a social distancing build for this league, which is just a build that has knockback, like really high knockback, so nothing can really ever get within a certain amount of distance from you.
That's cool.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. Have you been playing anything else?
A little bit of League of Legends, and a couple of things. Like, I've been looking for something to fill a certain like genre of game.
Can we help?
So I don't know. I think that I've played everything in the genre already. That's
Okay.
what I'm playing.
Sure.
But I'm looking for like a management farming simulator type thing. Not like actual farming simulator,
But like a Stardew
like,
kind of.
It has farming. Like Harvest Valley or Harvest Moon kind of thing.
Sure.
But I'm not interested in Story of Seasons at all.
Got it.
Because I think it looks like trash.
Doesn't necessarily appeal to me either. I was in the same boat, but
which is really unfortunate.
Yeah,
because,
you would think
that like my time at Porsche, that kind of stuff. Those are the kind of games I'm looking for. I'm looking for like a more adult one.
Yeah, or something just with a more palatable style for me.
Yeah, it just doesn't appeal to me.
Totally.
Have you all tried Forager?
I have. I've played Forager. I've played Satisfactory. That's another one. I've played Factorio.
Mm-hmm.
I've played Anno 1800, which is the most recent one of those that kind of fits that bill. I've played, tons of stuff. Like I played Banished, RimWorld, all that stuff. I played it all.
Sure.
I want more.
Sure.
No, Mansky just updated.
Yeah.
It's not what you're looking for, but I'm just because they both scratch a similar pixel art vibe for me, but Crosscode is good. It's a good little time sink. I think you would dig that game. It's not, again, necessarily for this scratch, but it has that kind of top-down, kind of fun action-y vibe to it. So
yeah. So right now, Path of Exile is filling that void because I want to, something that I want to be able to like just
chill,
zone out and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've replayed Stardew Valley so many times. Honestly, it's just because like it is so good at doing that. I just want to play that game.
There's one coming up that I remember seeing like in the midst of like all of like I think it was like a few weeks ago when they had like all those indie kind of showcases and there was like a billion game shows. So it was like kind of hard to tell, but I think it's called like
Drake. You're talking about already.
Drake Hollow, I think is what it was called.
Drake Hollow.
Maybe a different one.
I think that's what it was called. I forget the name of it.
I'm
sure they showed a bunch of those games like during that whole.
Yeah, there's a game shown off at the PC Gaming Show that I'm very much looking forward to. Called Oceanomics.
I watched that since you mentioned it to me, Tony. It does look really good.
Yeah, it does.
So I can't remember if it was the thing I can't remember about this game is like I think it's out somewhat soon. Like I think it's like August. I think is what the. Yeah, I know it's on Steam, and I think it's on some PC platforms.
June 19th, 2020. It's in early access apparently.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure because I think it was an early access thing is why I didn't end up checking it out. But it seemed like a game very similar in that style. It's like kind of like third person action, but you're also like you're kind of like fighting off like waves of enemies, but then you're also kind of building a farm. And there's also like there's like separate ones, so you can do like a multiplayer one where like you're all building one together, but you can also like build one on your own and by yourself and kind of do all that stuff on your own.
Yeah, it does look okay. It's called Drake Hollow. It's on Steam.
Yeah,
and it's on Xbox.
Yeah, like,
game preview.
Those games don't really super grab me too much, or it has to be like very specifics. Like some things don't.
Yeah, I get that.
Grab me for some of them, but that was one that was like it looked interesting. That spoke to me at least.
Cool. Yeah, I feel you, Tony. If you find one, let us know though, because
literally I played them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done that. Like that's what I was looking for that in Moonlighter as well.
Yeah.
And I got that for a while in Moonlighter.
Yeah, Moonlighter's the thing. Once you're done with it, it's over. Is the thing, and you're like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I did that, and then I've been watching streams while looking for something to do, and that's when I ended up watching a bunch of Dark Souls stream and picking up Code Vein. I finished Code Vein over the last week.
Okay.
and then played a whole bunch more of it past finishing the game.
Does it have a how's
spent a lot
the
of-
back half of it? Is it good?
Yeah, I actually do like. I think that the story of the game is presented in a Dark Souls enough way, where it's like
Reading item
there is
descriptions
a certain,
and stuff.
and that's more Bloodborne, I think. Dark Souls
They-
has a
they-
couple cutscenes where it's like, this is what's happening.
They
I think
both
this
do
one's
it,
a little
for
bit more
sure.
anime, and then it's got a lot more exposition,
Sure.
and you're with a group of people that are going to tell you what the story is, rather than a girl in a Firelink shrine saying some cryptic shit.
Yeah.
The story is okay. It is passable,
Yeah.
which is all that it needs to be in that kind of game.
Yeah.
I like the combat a lot. I ended up picking up the season pass so I could have access to all 3 of the DLCs that came out for the game. Mostly because I wanted a certain ability that was only in one of the DLC blood codes.
Sure.
So I was like, I'll just get the DLC, whatever. And I didn't even know it was in the DLC. They're like basically 3 more Chalice dungeons, essentially. But there's a big boss at the end of each one that has all of these different challenges. So like, that have rewards. So there might be one that's like do 70,000 damage in a single hit. And a bunch of like those kind of Iron Man-y kind of challenge thingies.
That's cool.
So going through and spending time trying to figure out, because like I was talking about last week about trying to make optimal classes and all that. So having to figure out classes to beat certain challenges with, that was kind of exactly what I was looking for out of the back half of that game. So I had a lot of fun going through and doing that. I spent a lot of time grinding out. There's like when you first start the game, you start with a one-handed sword that is literally just a piece of pipe. Does like no damage at all, really. And one of the challenges is to beat it with only using that weapon without using any gifts or heals or items.
Wow.
Without getting hit. And I did that.
Damn.
So that was cool. And then I beat them all on the hardest difficulty as well. So that was fun. And then I did a bunch of online co-op. I joined like the Discord for the game and got myself assigned a role as a PC helper.
Aww.
So people could just ping whenever they're having trouble with a boss, and I can come in and help them. So I helped a couple guys, a bunch of people just randomly, and then a couple guys who I like kind of taught a bunch of stuff to.
That's awesome,
while I was
Tony.
just hanging out, waiting for stuff, watching streams or whatever. So a bunch of that, and then that was the early half of the week, and then got back into Path of Exile, and that was right at about the time that Ghost of Tsushima dropped. And I've seen probably about 22, 23 hours of Ghost of Tsushima streams so far.
Did you watch 2 or 3 more?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I feel like that game has a little bit of Tony Horvath vibes in it.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know if I want to sit down and play that game, but I'm having a good time watching the people who I like play video games play that game.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. You said you did the same thing with Final Fantasy VII as well, so
yeah,
I get it. Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for me.
Cool. That's a good week, man. It's been cool hearing you talk about Code Vein. It's been good to have like the other perspective on it and have that, because I just bounced right off of it, so I was curious how the follow through on it was. So
listen,
How many
Ghost
anime
of
characters did
Tsushima,
you make?
5. But it was the last one wasn't an anime character, so it doesn't count. The last one I made was Ciri from The Witcher.
okay.
And then I gave her like scary eyeballs because she was supposed to be like a dark mage character using evil spells, So I figured like the Ciri aesthetic plus evil eyes, you're in there, you're golden.
Yeah. God, that character creator's so good.
Yeah, I think the Ciri looks fucking good too.
I bet.
Dude, that character creator is nuts. Like,
It's nuts.
to make her hair, I had to use like 6 different hairstyles, and like half of them are inside the middle of her skull because you only want some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you could do that, it's
super cool. But the one problem with it though is that it's cool that it's there, and I really appreciate that you can do it. But goddamn, the controls for moving that stuff, it takes you like 15 minutes to try and maneuver something to turn the right way.
Yeah.
When you're thinking in your head like you just got to move it like a centimeter to the left, but like there's 4 different axes of movement on 2 different joysticks, that you could do it on. And then there's also the other buttons that change stuff. And it's like, how do I make this small movement? And then you move something and then it goes the wrong way. And you're like, shit.
Just let me get in there. I'll fix it. I swear I'll fix it. Just let me stick my hand in there and I'll get it. Yeah. I get it, dude.
Stick my hand in the TV and get pulled in.
Oh, that's the dream. Regal. Meet Sam Riegel. he guides us through the Shadow World. Cool. Scotty, are you back from your bathroom break?
Yep.
Did you play any video games this week? I was just, making sure. I'm sorry, Scott.
Back from your poo-poo?
Did you make potty? you gotta say it like a really concerned mother, and that's how you. I need
to play for that.
I'm so sorry, Scott. Have you played any video games this week?
I don't have much new to talk about. There's just more Tarkov, more League. I'm almost done with Code Vein myself.
Cool.
I'm probably gonna finish it right after the show.
Cool. Have you enjoyed your time with it as well?
Yeah. Again, I kind of agree with Tony. The story is passable.
That's all it needs to be, though.
I heavily disagree with the presentation is very similar. In this, you are pretending that your average JRPG, your turn-based JRPG, is instead the gameplay of this game, and the story follows suit.
Sure.
So it's more like that.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's sort of Dark Souls-esque is that there are decisions that you can make, which, to be fair, I didn't know about until I was told that I was making a decision.
Yeah, that's how Dark Souls does it too, though, to be fair. You can leave this room, right, and then the game ends. Whoops, what? Like, who let me do that? Yeah. I get it.
And that's the biggest similarity in that aspect, but it's really only it's very specific, and you'll probably if you ever get back into it, which I would recommend.
Okay.
You probably not going to know until it's like, oh, this was it.
I love that. I love those moments.
And then you gotta go, well, fuck.
I've had so many of those. Like, I feel like somebody told me about. Like, a great example.
Just have a way to turn it off immediately without saving.
Sure.
Because I was told and I missed something after I did it, and I just alt F4'd.
Of course, yeah.
Just like if I was going through just to go through, I wouldn't do that. But I had spent at least like 40 minutes backtracking to make this decision, and I ended up fucking it up somewhere down the line.
I played XCOM on Iron Man mode. I've alt F4'd out of a game session many times.
Yeah, it's just that you're on a console.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I'll have to throw my Xbox out the window, but I'll do it. We'll save it. We'll download that cloud save before it gets too late. A good example of like those point of reference moments, like both Nabish and you and Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny, you tweeted out about the title card from Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
And I was worried that, and you know I love a late title card. Like this is like more of a 2013 bit, but this is a classic IP bit. I love me a late title card. But I was worried that the hype had been set up too much, and I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happened. But when it happened, I was like, fuck, this is so good. This is such a good title card. Also, any title card 2 hours into a thing is always going to be great with me. I can almost guarantee it. Cool. Then how about let's take a quick break, and we will come back. We'll talk a little bit about Paper Mario and Ghost of Tsushima, and then we'll maybe throw out some last minute predictions, hope streams, wants, needs from the Xbox Games Showcase. Make some bets, and end the podcast. Forever. No, I'm just kidding. Just
forever.
Just for tonight. So we will take that break and be back in just a little bit. Just making sure. We are back. I'm sorry that I started this. The best thing is my roommate, Damien. You all know him. Mike, you don't know him, but he's a nice guy. I will often say like cutesy versions of words, and I like to mix them up and throw them in there. But I'll say cutesy version of words specifically so it makes him uncomfortable. He's like, I did not pee. I took a piss. And I'm like, yeah, did you take a poopy too? And he'll be like, I fucking hate you. I can't talk to you like this. It's really fun.
Apparently, former alum George Cruz is a big fan of pee pee poo poo. So
is George in the chat screaming pee pee poo poo?
I don't know if he's still here, but he was literally tweeting about it yesterday. So
excellent.
Hit him up on Twitter.com.
I will follow up with George immediately as soon as this podcast is over.
Like, excuse me, sir.
I hear you poo poo pee pee.
Eat that poo poo.
Eat that poo poo. All right. Hey everybody, welcome back. Video games. I played some video games this week. In addition to the games discussed so far. The thing that I was trying to remember last week, Nobshin, that I forgot about, the Foundation DLC for Control, decades later, has finally come to us plebeians on Xbox One, and finally, I can talk about it. I played it last week, and I loved it. I adored it, and I don't know if it was a mix of the DLC itself is really good because it's just more Control. There's some cool stuff in it, to be fair. Or if it was just more Control that I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, this fucking game.
Control, yeah.
So it has led me to replay Control, which I've been doing this week as well. And kind of redo some stuff. And I'm already seeing some shit that I fucking missed again. That first time, even that second time, this is my third playthrough now. Specifically, and I know now, I didn't really, and what I love about the Foundation DLC, a lot of stuff about Northmore, who's the director before Trench, the first real director, as you kind of learn in the DLC, and then his head of science, Ashmore, or Dr. Ash, who is the prerequisite to Darling. So you kind of start to meet these, essentially the guard before the old guard, the old guard. Mm-hmm. And have you played the DLC, Nobshin? I feel like you did, right?
No, I've been meaning to. I just never got around to it.
Okay, maybe this will be the incentive to get on it. It's cool because you learn about Northmore. You learn he was the first one to use the gun. They were the ones that found the house, right? You get that kind of the stuff that I really wanted, which was what was first contact with the board like? What was it like? How did Northmore convey that? No, there's someone above me, and they're the ones in charge, and we have to be subservient to them. And how did that go? And it's great. It's just super great. The stuff that I missed in the original campaign was what the NSC was. Didn't see on the goddamn tank that says Northmore sarcophagus container or whatever. Yeah. So all of that really sunk into place after I'd beaten the DLC and was replaying the game again. Just love it. Control's so good. Where the kind of thing that happens right at the end of the Foundation DLC, for a split second, I was what does this mean? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Mike. But
no, I haven't actually played it yet either.
Shit. Well, I'm glad I didn't say it. But yeah, it is about the board in a lot of ways, and it is also about the Former, who is the big alien creature that you fight in some of the side quests, who is maybe a former member of the board. It is all about them, and then how is the board linked to the oldest house? And of course, my favorite question from the DLC, which is, should we trust the board? And it sets up that great kind of passing. It felt more like a passing of the torch. You start to build this relationship with Emily, and you kind of get this Jesse and Emily's era of the Bureau has begun, and we've moved out of the Darlene Trench era.
Now they're starting to deal with like
the repercussions of stuff. There's still Hiss, you're still fighting Hiss, and I assume through the AWE expansion, you're still going to be fighting Hiss as well.
Sure.
But, just going through the game more thoroughly, obviously the Alan Wake stuff, I'm building up to the AWE, and however that is going to come into play. I found the note that I'd read about, but I had not found in any of my playthroughs. It's pretty well hidden. And I found it, which is about a typewriter page that had come slipping in the Ocean View Motel. It came through the door with the spiral on it, and it's a page written by Alan Wake, and it's like, oh, now he says on that page, it's like essentially a piece of paper recounting what was on the page, not a direct copy of it, but it says like, this is your final warning, they're coming, right? Like, oh god, yes. So whatever that's going to be, I'm very excited for as well. So, and I just going through the part that I'm at in the game again, I think I threw it out there on our Game of the Year podcast last year, but like, I will pitch you the Ordinary Netflix series right now.
Prequel series.
The prequel series that is just like Stranger Things, 11, 10-year-old actors in Ordinary. It's Jesse and Dylan and their gang of friends, and terrible stuff happens.
That'd be so good.
A one season series doesn't have to be super ambitious or anything.
Look,
but
they're making a Dragon's Dogma Netflix anime.
Yeah,
so,
like anything is possible.
Yes,
I refuse to believe anything else.
A controlled miniseries could totally happen.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be live. It could be animated. It could be. In fact, it might even be better if it was animated, because you could go super weird. Yeah, like it. Just call it Ordinary. It doesn't have to be called Control:ordinary or anything. Just call it Ordinary. And it, like, even just independent of the game, I think as a series it would be well received. Similar to like the Witcher series or whatever. Also, Henry Cavill is The Witcher. Did not point that out as an example when I was listing stuff, and I understand that I seem like a dumbass now. Thank you, Nicole Humphrey, in the chat, for giving that as an example. But Control's great. I played last weekend, and I talked about it a little bit in our Slack. Like, I had not played it, but it had been on my radar. I played Void Bastards, just a little bit of it. Very good game, very good roguelike. It's cool. It really reminded me of something super specific. Not FTL, not like some of the things that it kind of has mechanics from. Another first person. I think it might just be like The Long Dark, which is another first person roguelike, where you kind of have to manage food and supplies and all that. But I like it. It's a first person shooter, roguelike, procedurally generated, but there's a skill tree that carries over between characters. And you're kind of jumping from ship to ship, and you have the option to either keep going through like this hyperspace grid, or dock into the ship and try and get supplies at the risk of your life, and infinitely going on from there. There seems to be some kind of objective or narrative, but it's not laid out very specifically. But it was cool. It's got just such a great art style. Seeing it in motion, it really looks like a comic book come to life. And it's just super fluid on Xbox One. So it's been on Game Pass. I'd been meaning to check it out, but didn't play a lot of it. Played like maybe 2.5 hours of it, but I had a fun time with it, and I might go back to it if I'm looking for kind of like a roguelike-esque game. And then the only other thing I played outside the big stuff is Crosscode. Talked about it playing last week. It's great. It's one of my favorite games this year. Even like the crashing on PS4 at least. Don't know if there's a day one patch or anything. I haven't seen anything, but the crashing is rough. I've never seen it.
Apparently, you're the 0.1% of people who fucking platinum that damn game.
All you have to do is finish it. So
okay.
Yeah, it's a very forgiving trophy list. There's a couple of challenges, but they are pretty easy. Like do a couple of side quests, or do this, do that. So yeah, I got the platinum just by happenstance. But I did get the bad ending, and I was like, and I walked away from it. I was like, man, that was pretty fucked up how it ended. And I was like, but I was okay with it. Like it to some extent made sense. Didn't make sense knowing now that there's like an epilogue that they're gonna patch in as like a free DLC at some point. But then I realized so you can go back and replay the last chapter, and there's just kind of a thing you have to do in the last chapter to get the good ending. Got the good ending. And I was like, whoa, that was way better. I feel way more positive after at the end of that. But it's cool. It's a really cool game. It's like, honestly, I for me, it's like so special that like I cannot conceive. I can't be thankful enough for like how radical this game is, and how much it specifically revitalizes ideas and mechanics of games that I like, but I struggle to find other people that dig. And now seeing this game reach a lot of people, and people be like, whoa, like this is crazy. I'm like, you guys should play Tomba, you guys should play Alundra, you guys should play all these cool PS1 games that this game very much harkens to. And I see a lot of people saying like this is like a SNES game. It's not. It is very much a PS1 game.
Like, no, idiot.
But like I get it. It's just like I remember like when games
plebs here playing SNES.
Nothing I say this episode is going to be taken into the context it needs to. It's going to be the one. This is going to be the one that gets me blacklisted out of the industry. But no, it's just like it that generation, I think, really the 2D games of that generation that I like, that Nabja, I know you like, and like the weird games that nobody talks about, like they were trying to thread the needle on like more complicated 2D games while everyone else was trying to do 3D games. Like they were essentially like the first wave of things that we would see as indies later on, decades later, and it is a special time frame where games were like weird and overly complicated and awkward, and just this game doing so much of those things is awesome. And I never thought I would see those things kind of brought back in any real capacity, but now I feel like not only are they back, and this developer Deck 13 and this team are gonna keep trying to push that, but like hopefully more people will have an appreciation for that era after playing it. So please play Crosscode.
I agree that like the PS1 is like a weird, like slightly underappreciated era of games, because like even I haven't played too many of the games. Like I played a little bit of Tomba, but I haven't really played Alundra. But like they were just like some weird PS1 games that I really liked, that were like just these one-off like weird things. The first one that comes to mind is
Croc.
No.
Yes, Croc.
Croc has to leave the room, actually.
Yeah, to leave the room. Is the Bomberman racing game that was on PS1?
Yeah.
Where you rid like giant kangaroo like rabbits and like dinosaurs, and like that game was like so bizarre, but like so fun at the same time. It just made no sense because like again it was Bomberman characters on these giant rabbits. And it's kind of like a Mario Kart game where it's like you're racing each other on these rabbits, and you're like using the triggers to like tilt the rabbits to like turn properly around corners. And like there's like somewhat drifting, but not really. But what there is are like these pads on the wall, so you're like essentially like using like platforming, but also like running through these tracks. And then like when you hit sharper turns, there'll be pads on the walls. You have to like jump up, and like your rabbit will kind of stick to it, and then you have to hit it properly, like properly time a button press to like launch yourself off, like to get like a speed boost essentially to like run around these tracks and stuff.
That's cool.
And it's just like it's a super bizarre game, and it's like, but I loved it. Like I remember having like I have not played it in years because like it's a real like to get it I would have to like probably buy a PlayStation 3 because I think it's on the classics there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's super. I remember I have very fond memories of like renting that game from Blockbuster over again, but I'm sure it might not held up that well.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, like I loved Bomberman 64, the adventure mode in that also.
Yeah.
And another thing, it was 3D, but it was similarly threading that weird like first attempt at 3D Bomberman game, and I liked it for like the adventure and exploring and solving the puzzles. Mm-hmm. Like I liked that stuff. And like one of the coolest things about Crosscode is like in the areas that you're just exploring to get from village to village, to get quests and then come out and just kill, mobs and mobs of dudes to get materials to then either turn in quests or get, trade for the new equipment that you've reached a new town, you get new equipment. Very, very old school RPG traditional shit. The environments are full of just puzzles, like they just like, okay, I have to figure out how to get up here, jump here, and then jump to here to then get to this switch that I stand on, and then I ricochet a ball off of a wall to hit a switch that'll take down the wall that I actually need to get down to get to a chest. And the chest will sometimes have legendary gear that is only in that chest in that area or in the game, or it has like just more a re-up of your consumables that you need for just general questing and stuff. Like, even if the reward is not always substantial, sometimes it is substantial, sometimes it's not, but like, you're surrounded by these kind of little opportunities to solve and problem solve in the environment in a really fun way that's just always different. It's always well made, it's always interconnected, it's always gorgeous. It's just it's so cool, and like that is like so specific to Alundra. Like that is such an Alundra thing of like, Zelda has stuff that you can find in the environment, but like very infrequently is it like a very complicated puzzle, and when it is, it's super rewarding, and that stuff is always like top tier in Zelda games. But in Crosscode, you find that around every fucking corner, and it is a lot, and it feels like a lot at sometimes, but then you're off to the next thing, and you're learning new mechanics, and you have new abilities that are changing how things are before you know it. It is a tour de force in a 2D action adventure game, and it's just awesome. Action RPG, I should say. Let's talk a little bit about Paper Mario and Ghost of Tsushima, because we're going pretty long here. I don't want to spend too long talking about either of them, especially because they're pretty new, and I think we're all pretty early in it. But first, for Paper Mario, let's get this out of the way. Talk about it a little bit.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, so Mike, you and I have talked quite a bit in Slack just about our general feelings. So I think we both know where we're both at. My feeling, my sentiment for the people out there, for the Scott Guthries and Tony Horvaths that might be curious, the core. It's funny because like the core of Paper Mario, of like when you're walking around talking to people, solving puzzles in the environments, like that all is still here. And then just like the combat, you could just take out of the game and forget about it. Like that is how kind of forgettable and how much of a purpose it generally serves in the grander scheme of things, right? No experience, no leveling up. You get upgrades and stuff as you go through. They've taken out like the stickers and the consumable moves at the very least. And now you have like equipment that you'll equip, and it's like, okay, these are iron boots. So they'll protect you from spiky enemies and do a little bit more damage, but they'll break eventually, and then you'll just go to the shop and buy 3 more because you just have a bunch of like these kind of nondescript, not special, not unique, equipable items.
And that just goes across the board of like, you'll get better shoes or like different shoes and hammers that let you do more damage during battle, but they have limited uses.
Yeah.
Then you just go back to the stores and buy again. The same, but then there's like items and stuff like fire flowers, and you get like a raccoon tail, like a tanuki tail as an item, and like they're like single use items and stuff like that.
The combat systems, I feel like it's been pretty explored out there. Like your rings and your ranging enemies to attack them. I like the one thing, like the action commands are still there. I hate that they changed the hammer action command. So it's not holding back on the stick.
There was right when I was starting that game, there was many times where I was just like prepping to hold the control stick to the left, and then you just see the thing pop up and an A button prompt pops, and you're just like, wait, what? Okay.
You hit the hammer at a certain time to hit the command, as opposed to holding back and releasing now. So for point of reference, but it's lame, and the jumping it's all still there, but you're either lining up 4 enemies in a row to jump on them in a row and probably killing them in one go, or 4 enemies in a square in front of you to do a hammer, and it's an AoE of 4 enemies in front of you. It's just like, let's say you get into combat and there's like 3 groups of enemies that you have to rearrange into the 3 either lines or squares, like then they give you 3 action points, so you just attack them all back to back to back, and then they don't have a turn, and then it's over, like, so most combat is like you start, you rearrange the enemies, kill them, and then it's over. There's not... It's
even if you don't rearrange them, like it's not like it's not a hard game. So like
Yeah.
you basically don't like when you line them up perfectly, you get like a little bit of a damage boost. And I think you even sometimes get like an extra attack like command on top of it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but like yeah, you just don't get that damage combo. And then after a certain point, again, you get like the different shoes that let you have powered attacks. You can still take out a majority of enemies in a single swoop.
It makes
Simple.
it makes it feel more like a puzzle game than RPG. And like so like I did the mini boss and the first mini boss and the first boss, and they're different. They're totally different. It'd take me a long time to explain how the boss fights work.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's arranging stuff to essentially do different objectives to do damage as opposed to just kind of arranging enemies and attacking them. So the bosses are interesting and they're cool, and they don't feel like fights really. They feel like puzzles.
Yeah.
And if you don't figure the thing out that you have to do, it feels like it's taking way too fucking long. Just for point of reference, I don't know if you had the same experience with the first fight where I'm like, I know what to do in the first part, I don't know what to do in the second part, or figure out.
There's definitely a little bit of trial and error to some of those.
Which
fights.
I don't mind, and they give you the time to do it. It just sometimes feels like it's kind of going on for a long time.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like, all right, I like you said, you're kind of like rearranging the pieces on the board to like move closer to in most regards, you're trying to like move Mario towards a certain thing on the circle to fight a boss, but there's also like other things of like, there's a little envelope on there that you can run past and pick it up, and it'll give you like a hint of like, hey, when this boss is doing this, you can do this to counteract it or whatever.
Yeah.
And like those are like really the only way to. I mean, I guess I really haven't messed around with like. The game, even like doing that minimal stuff, the game's pretty easy. Like I think I've only died once.
Yeah, I died to a rolling hazard. I don't know if the rolling thing in the.
Okay, yeah, I died to that,
and then it felt like super. I was like, why is this
ball.
here? Why is this? I died 3 times to that. I was like, this just feels weird.
Yeah, and then they don't clearly show you the thing, and then I just kind of like haphazardly fell into it, and I was like, oh, okay, sure,
yeah,
whatever. Like I died to that, and then there was a boss I just actually fought like a little bit before this that I died to, but that's because it does a really lame thing of you take all of its HP out, and then it has kind of a final kind of thing you have to do, and it involves the other kind of thing that they've introduced in this game is like the big stretchy fold arms.
1,000-fold arms.
Yeah, and you basically have to like grab them with the arms, but it's like rapidly moving around, and like if you can either do it with the controller joystick, which is super slow, or you can motion control, which is faster but not like that precise.
Yeah.
So I tried both ways, and like eventually just kind of got lucky on it, because it's like you're trying to grab it, and if you keep missing it, it'll start attacking Mario, and like while you're trying to grab it. And it just took me out, and then I had to do the entire fight over again.
Oh yeah,
I was just like, that's awful. I was very bad at that.
Yeah,
like you're just wasting my time now, video game.
So like let's just take the combat out. If you avoid all the combat or don't engage with it, sometimes you have to, sometimes you don't. When you're just like running around in the world, and they got away from the sticker star color splash stuff of like a world map where you go to like 1-1, 1-2s. None of that in this game. It's just a continuous world, but it is still laid out in kind of a path. It kind of reminds me of Luigi's Mansion 3. I don't know if you got a similar vibe, Mike, but like the way it kind of guides you through stuff, and then you can kind of explore more opened areas as you kind of come back to it, or open up shortcuts and stuff. Which gives it kind of a linear feel, but it's not bad because the environments are super rich. There's a lot of little secrets, which I love.
A lot of these little things.
Little secrets.
A lot of nice, like, the interactions you'd expect to, like, even in these more newer Paper Mario games, where there's like funny little bits or gags or sequences where you're like hanging out with characters. Like, there's a bit early on where you like meet a Monty Mole, and he's like doing an auction for this item, and like you're with like a bunch of Koopas, and they're like trying to play you essentially to like get you to spend a bunch of coins, but you can just kind of like keep going down lower and lower, and like all the lines that the Monty Mole have are very good.
Yeah, it's very.
Like, you're like taking the shirt. You're trying to take the shirt off my back, and he's like getting all flustered. And it's very fun.
How low did you get it before you bought it?
I got it to 500 coins.
No, I got it to 1,000. I felt
Yeah.
bad at that point.
Yeah.
But then
It's
you
really
go up
funny.
to him after he's like, I can't believe I got 1,000 coins for a rock I found on the side of the road.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, and like
there was
you do get like, not to get too deep ahead, but I'm in like the third area, you would so to speak, and there's like you do get like a partner character for some of that in the more not really like full on partner like you control during battle, like they'll kind of do their own thing, but like it is like an additional character that follows you around, and that character is very fun.
yeah. Is it the
Like,
Bob-omb? I have the
yeah, the
Bob-omb.
Bomb.
So
Yeah, it's the Bomb. He's very funny.
he's got
and
amnesia.
he's got amnesia, and then like he'll like kind of when in combat he'll kind of like just like attack randomly, which like that's some of my kind of things with like not to get too ahead of like my full thoughts of the game, but I just think like this would have been a better game if they just took it all out.
Yeah,
you said-
if
said
there was just
stop,
no combat and you were just running around
'Cause-
exploring, it would have been a better game.
Yeah, because it's that thing, right? Of like, I love Thousand Year Door and 64, which are they have that RPG combat, and like these newer games, they like just don't want to do that for whatever reason. So like but like they're still trying to shoehorn in some combat form that's just not going to please anybody because it's not the one thing, but it's also like not very meaningful or interesting. So like, just like why have it in the first place?
Yeah.
And like you can just like all the other stuff surrounding that of like collecting like even like collecting the toads and like talking to all the different NPCs and stuff. Like even like there's like you find like these paper mache versions of like Mario enemies. They're like giant and like walking around these like areas. Like those are actually kind of fun. Like if the game was just kind of like more puzzle focused where you're like doing stuff with the arms and maybe every so often you'd run into those and like fight those instead, and it wasn't just like here this enemy's gonna run up to you and you're gonna have to do this weird ring puzzle-y combat that has some elements of older Paper Mario games, but like none of it really matters. Like maybe, or it kind of matters because you do get coins and like the confetti to like like fill in the world and like buy upgrades and things. But like
even like
you get coins, you get all that stuff outside of combat too. So it's like
even the
I don't know what this is serving.
The confetti thing just feels like, and I did not play the game, but it feels like just a 1-for-1 stand-in for the paint mechanic in Color Splash. Like
yeah, that too.
Which is like there are parts of the world that have lost color. You go up with your yellow, red, or blue paint, you fill it in, and like yay, I guess it like unlocks stuff, saves toads and all that. In this, like you go around the world and there are parts that are like the paper mache reality, the facade of reality has gone, and it's just a hole that you see like the wireframing of the world behind. Throw confetti on it, fills in, yay, and then like it's a collectible essentially, and it sometimes helps toads and helps you progress or something. But
yeah,
it's they're effectively the same thing, just done. So it's weird how they like redid all of this thing, but then kind of lazily just have exactly what Color Splash had in another way. It just and it again like the running around, talking to people, solving puzzles in the environment is very good. I would say like it is as good as Paper Mario environment exploring has ever been, which is to say really good and really fun, and wholesome and surprising, and there's great like meta jokes and stuff. Like as soon as you get there's like a thing that rings when a toad is nearby. Toads are like the collectibles to find. I got it, and then it rang, and there's like a kind of cave behind, and like totally obscured, completely invisible. There's a toad on the ground there that if you hit, you'll save him. And I did it like immediately after it pops up. He's like, "Thanks for being a completionist, Mario," and just pieces out. And I was like, "That's a very good joke," because there's no way I would have found him otherwise. You know? And it's
there's like that whole section kind of at the top where you like go through the woods and they're
the
like
woods is so funny.
Yeah, you like they're like all these talking trees. And they're like very funny, and they'll just say lines of like, "Oh, that mustache is like weird. What is he doing?" And then you like get to another section where it's like you're like about to go into the main town, and you're at like a campsite, and it's like the creepiest thing because you see all the wood chopped up, like outside this log house, and you can go up to it, and like talk to it, and then like all the chopped up wood, like all of them have eyes.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about how they want to be burned and stuff. You're just like, what in the world is this horror show that I just found?
But like, it's also like
it's fun.
I
Silly
don't.
stuff like that.
I don't want to spoil too much of that beginning because it's very funny. But that you meet this tree that's been cut down. That was like into singing and dancing. And later you go across a bridge that as you walk across it sings Do Re Mi, through the end, and you realize like, oh fuck, that bridge was made of that tree. Like this tree that loves to sing. Now there's this bridge that loves to sing, and like that they don't spell that out, but it's like if you pay attention, you'll notice that shit.
Yeah.
And again, that's stuff for people, not kids. Like the older people aren't gonna get. Like the first boss calls you a fucking Philistine, and I'm laughing hysterically, but that's not a joke some 7-year-old kid's gonna get. So like it just. If we're gearing this toward that older audience, give us at least a deeper RPG system to go with it. There's so many contradictions that exist within Paper Mario that make it frustrating. It's not. I get the people out there that are like, why can't it just be this? And it's like, it can be. It's fine. At the end of the day, I'm not losing sleep over it, but it had great combat, and if you there are a lot of room to explore that still. Like we're not done with that. Things like Bug Fables have taught me, like, oh, there's still way more ideas to mine here. And Nintendo, I'm sure, would be great at it. So,
yeah, it's just whatever reason. Like they said, like it seems like one of those just unfortunate things that like there's of course a bunch of incredibly talented minds at Nintendo, but a lot of the people at the top are like very old. Like I don't want to say old fashioned. I don't really know specific term for it, but like they have a very particular way they look at things and want things, and just I think unfortunately for that like really hurts these Paper Mario games.
Yeah,
because like they just like a lot of the lead people who are on this game just don't want to do the same thing, so to speak, and they don't want to make that RPG game again. Like now we're on the third game in a row that has not been that game, so I feel like it's safe to say like that's not going to be that. And for a while,
this does feel like a step in the right direction, but it is one of those things where like this exact game I think would just be it wouldn't be incredible, it wouldn't be 1,000-Year Door if it had like the RPG systems in it, but it would be better, I think, and it would also be better if they just took the combat out, like we've been saying. So like. If ultimately the next game we get is like Paper Mario Adventure and it's no combat, it's just an adventure game that is about the environments and maybe working with partners and stuff, then I'm down. But
me too.
We'll see. This game reminds me a lot of Super Paper Mario in the problem solving and stuff that you do, so, and which is again it's a step in the right direction for me. It's not quite there, but it's really good. So
yeah.
It's not a bad game. It's got forgettable combat system that could be totally removed. But when you're playing it and you're reading the jokes and it's gorgeous and it's fun, it's got all these colors and stuff. It is a fun time. Oh, the music is so good.
It's mainly the combat music. Like that's like the one redeeming thing.
Yeah, the combat has
barely redeeming is like the initial track you get, but then like as you get into different environments, so you get like new songs for new environments, like that second environment I think you just got to, like once you start getting the combat in there, it's really good.
Yeah, I just did my first fight there and it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Cool. The other thing is Ghost of Tsushima, which is out now for folks to enjoy. How are you feeling about it, Nobshin? Yay, nay?
Yay. Very big yay.
Yeah. It's like it's not a surprise, I would say, and like you and I texted kind of briefly about it yesterday, because we were going to sit down and have a one-on-one about kind of general malaise of Sony first-party games. But I played this and I was like, I want to play more of this to have a kind of better rounded opinion on it. It is cool to play a Sucker Punch game again, and it is cool to like. It's mostly gone, but you can still just a little bit. There's still a little bit of that weird Sly 2 like awkwardness in this game. I don't know if I'm speaking crazy to you at all, Nobshin, or if you get.
Oh, no, the game is like it's a very unpolished.
Yes. In a similar way, that reminds me of like Infamous. Like how those games looked and felt. Like performs pretty well, looks great when it needs, like, environmentally looks great. Once you kind of get up into the nitty gritty, it's like, all right, these things aren't touching, or, you know, this is weird and this doesn't look as good. But, like, it doesn't also matter really, because like, this is the first time I've seen, like, all right, we're a AAA game, we're going for realism, and, like, not the first time, but first for a while for me, of this ilk, where, like, this game's got style. Like, it's not about the realism. It has that, but, like, it takes that and pushes it in a direction that moves the needle on the style meter all the way the fuck up for me. Like, the colors in this, the way that, you know, like, when you look at horizon lines, especially in this game, like, over the ocean, it just looks like a Japanese painting, you know, like traditional older era art. Like, I don't know if it's specifically Sengoku period art, but, like, it harkens to, like, a visual Japanese style in it. Like, I've been thinking a lot about Okami playing this game, and, you know, a lot of that paintbrush strokes and the way the lettering is written and stuff like that. And I played it relatively recently, and it's always on my mind. But, like, it has that. Like, I met this bard, essentially. I don't know what a Japanese bard would actually be, but, you know, like, a storyteller that goes around and plays flute and tells stories, and that you get this hand drawn, like, stills for as he tells the story. I'm just like, man, this looks fucking good. I wish, honestly, those moments were more heavily stylized. I've only seen one, but it was a little bit more realism looking. But there were times where, like, characters had that, you know, just that vibe to it. Yeah, it takes that visual style and really rolls over it with style, in just the best way. And it looks so good. It really, like, this is one of my favorite looking. If I were to pick a game to showcase HDR, I would be like, Ghosts of Tsushima is actually that game. And the best thing is they have in the settings, there's, like, a standard contrast and then like dramatic contrast, and turn that shit on and enjoy. I haven't talked about it on the show, but I got about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got a new TV, and boy howdy, this game looks very good. How do you feel about an option? I don't want to steamroll over you.
I know you're good. Like I said, I feel very good about it. Like before the game even came out, you know, like I was very apathetic about it. Like, all the way around. Like not that it didn't look good or anything like that, or because, you know, it has a subject matter that I'm very passionate about and everything, but, like, I don't know, it was just something about it that just, like, not really, like, was really, like, something I was just, like, amped up to play. It's like, it's just one of those things I was going to buy just to buy type of thing. Even up to release, it was pretty much around that level. It was kind of like, it's kind of like the same way I went to get the Days Gone in a way, where it was just like, oh, I'm barely going to look up anything about you, not because, like, I want to be, like, spoiler free or something like that. It's like, this just didn't really speak to me, and I just got it just because it's a new exclusive, basically. So I was very surprised how much I got into it, and I think the reason I got into it is because it feels like in a kind of in a long time from a AAA kind of aspect, and, like, it just feels like a video game as video game.
Yes.
Like, it's kind of the stuff that, like, that, like, what people got from Spider-Man that, like, obviously I missed out on, but, like, where people, like, really just enjoyed being in that world and just, like, just doing your monotonous shit, but, like, it's monotonous shit that you just generally enjoy doing. Like, I felt this for this game, because, like, me and Nicole have been texting about this for weeks now, about, like, us kind of being, like, burnt out as far as, like, open world games, and, like, just to, like, the mundane stuff about it, you know, and just, like, just getting finished with Last of Us 2, you know, like, that game wasn't completely open, but, like, you know, like,
it's long.
It was very long, and, like, the quote unquote open world part of that game was the best part of the game, but it was like that was like the shortest part of that game, in a way. But anyway, like Ghost of Tsushima is just like it feels good. It feels good in so many aspects, because, like, it's not like something that's, like, it's not something that was like a god tier type of thing. It's not something that like, oh my god, like I can't wait for this game to come out because like expectation, and it's just like, no, it was just a game that came out. That is really good for what it is. Is it the best? No. Is there other games that do it better? Yes. But like, as far as like mechanics, I feel like they do it good enough and satisfying enough that like I just generally just really enjoy it. Because like Jin, the main character, there's nothing there for me as far as like a
Really?
character.
I like him a little bit.
I mean, he's fine, but like he's just your stoic character, and like sure it fits the motif of the game, but like you know, like the game is so serious in a way that like you know, it's just like cool, and, like like whatever, but like at the same time it's like, oh, like I'm not expecting like a fucking love interest in this game or something like that, or I'm not expecting like the game to really make me think about like modern politics, I guess you would say. It's just like it's something that I can just enjoy and just like play as a video game, and like I kind of missed that honestly from like a high budget standpoint. Like I don't feel like I'm afraid of something like being of something like insensitive being in that game, because it feels like they cared about the research that they did, and like and the gameplay all around has just been really good and really fun for what it is.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was really worried. I didn't talk about it that much because much like you, I think I've just not been really thinking about Ghost of Tsushima too much. Yeah, I've been excited about it. This is the one I was like, this one might be it. I might like this one. But I was worried coming off of Sekiro, like, how am I going to feel about this? And there's definitely, like, stuff about it. There's one specific thing that's, like, that hits my, like, unforgivable, like, it brushes a little bit with that, which is that...
It does the button mapping.
No, the button mapping, it's whatever. It's, you know, I'm used to triangle, square stuff enough. But, like... And I have, over my 10 years of writing about stuff, I've tried to formulate how I feel about this specific thing, but like unsuccessfully. But there's like this mechanic that is an upgrade you get later that lets you come back from being downed, like killed, which is essentially exactly how Sekiro works. But even before you get this mechanic, you have this like downed phase from the get-go. So like if you get downed, you just kind of hit there until like an enemy does an execution on you. I hate it that it's weird to me. I hate the enemy executions on you. Seems super pointless. But you go down and it's like, all right, let me check my phone, I guess, because I got fucking 10 seconds for the load time and the animation to play out of somebody eventually coming up and killing me. Because if no one does it, load times are great. But, you know, someone comes up, also load times Last of Us Part 2, great. I don't know how either of these games did it, honestly. But, you know, it's just, if somebody doesn't come up and finish you, you'll just die eventually. You're just like kind of hunched over there and then you die. And it's right. Like,
so it's like, on one hand, the AI is walking up, he looks left, he looks right, then he walks right past you, then he comes off and he finishes you, and it makes it extended.
That's exactly happened to me, and it's like, why am I sitting here for this when I could have just died and then reloaded and been back in it and have already been playing, and it bothers me so much. I cannot... No one has said anything about this, so I haven't said anything about it. Of course, I'm very insecure.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, can you like pause the game and do like a quick reload checkpoint?
You might be able to do that. There's definitely a reload checkpoint option in the menu, so I might just start doing that.
I have some other questions too.
But
once you're done,
the control scheme wise, it is different enough from Sekiro that it does not cross the wires in my head, which is good. There's definitely like a weirdness. I'm still getting used to the parry system and how it works, but again, that's weirdly exactly how it works in Sekiro. You know, like perfect parries and not perfect parries, and it's just different how it opens up opportunities to the enemy. There's stances, kind of like how Neo has stances, but they're implemented differently. And there's 4 of them. There's not 3 of them, and it's not high, medium, low. It's like water stance and shit. Like it is like full on going all for it. And I'm excited to unlock more of that. I only have 2 currently. But yeah, it's also like it's not super dense, you know. The map doesn't load. There's no towers, you know. You just gotta fill in that fucking thing yourself, which is great. Which just means I have like a lot of direct lines to places across the map, you know. But it's not super densely packed, you know. It's like here's a fox den, and then one other thing, and then like the 4 missions you have, you know. Like that those are usually the things you'll find in a path to somewhere. And I get stoked when I select a mission and I have to go ride to, because it just means I get to look at this game more.
Yeah, it's like what I said to you when we were texting and stuff like that. Like I don't feel compelled like I usually do with like open world games. Like even like I said, even with The Last of Us, I don't feel like I have to check every nook and cranny for this when I'm playing a game. It's just like it's refreshingly like an older version, like a 360 game as far as like the way an open world like aspect is like probably Assassin's Creed 2, I guess people could compare it to, and just like
Shadow of Mordor also even a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, actually yes, that's a very good one. And just like it's that mentality, but like but like implemented very good as far as like in the modern sense, as far as like the things you need, like your controller vibrates if something is near. That is a collectible, so like you just automatically get that, so like you feel good about that.
Yeah, and like I told you this, and I don't know maybe if you agree, but like I feel like equal amounts of care are put into every single thing. You know, like there's the story mission, but like you go and do a side mission, and it's got the title card pop for every side mission. Like I did one for like a technique, which was going to be different. You know, I thought it was going to play out a little bit differently than like. A lot of the side missions are kind of oriented around a character and their story, right? This one was not oriented around a character. It was like, oh, this heavenly strike technique, you know, and then you go and you meet people, and then you have a duel at the end, and it's very intense, and it does the full title card that pops in and the title card that ends it, like what I've been told Japanese films do, Japanese samurai films. I've not watched any, but I might after this, because I realize playing this and hearing people talk about like how many things I like that are influenced by, you know, traditional samurai movies, like Samurai Jack, you know, didn't put that together until recently. I hate to admit it, but you know, like the samurai walks into town, kind of meets someone who needs help. They tell him their woes, and he goes and wanders alone and finds a way to solve it, and then wanders out of town. Like there's a lot of that, and I like storytelling. Like, you know, it's essentially Monster of the Week storytelling. And that's all of Samurai Jack, obviously, literally that whole thing, and it's great. And it's really cool. It's the amount of love and care they put into this style, this aesthetic, this theme helps me better understand it, and also like relate it back to this theming I've seen before, and I've never maybe really put 2 and 2 together. So seeing, like, as someone who plays a lot of video games and doesn't watch a lot of movies, this can be my Japanese samurai movie, and it can expose me to a lot of new things. So it's a lot of that, and I really like that.
Like the last thought I really have about it is like I feel like if you go into this game with the right mentality, like is like how you'll enjoy it the most. Like if you're thinking like you'll get better combat to Sekiro, then you're probably gonna be wrong on that. If you think you're gonna get like a deep story, like with like characters you'll memorize, like from Last of Us, you're probably not gonna get that. If you're trying to get like you know, like an expansive world experience, like the similar to like Horizon Zero Dawn, you might get that, you might not get that. Can't really speak too much about that, but like but I just think like I said, as a video game, as a standard video game, I feel like not that it's safe as can be, but like, because I think it's like this takes a chance as far as like the whole aspect of what we see as far as like a Japanese game, because like you know, most Japanese games are from Japan, so like this is like the first like Western version of that. So like basically like the Assassin's Creed in Japan that everyone's been wanting. So you know.
And it didn't fuck it up. like I really just genuinely think like they like it feels, the only thing that's fucked up is that there's no Japanese voiceover lip sync, which is it's a bummer.
That's literally the biggest thing, dude. Like,
and it's a huge bummer.
I'm still gonna play it like that personally, just because
I tried, man. I was with you, and I tried, and it was.
I was like,
It's just it makes it feel like the English dub of a Bruce Lee movie. You know, like it reverses that in a way that's just like gross and like ugh. And it's not like I'm not. It's not like
it's not a deal breaker. It's not the worst thing ever. It's just like a big nitpick.
It is a huge nitpick. Yeah.
The thing that
Hold
gets
on,
me.
Go ahead, Scott.
You're like a heavy anti-sub person.
I know. This is normally this would be the thing, but I was like, I want to fucking.
Why do you care?
I want to fucking immerse myself in this game.
But the dialogue and everything's going to be better in English.
But no, it's a full Japanese cast and.
It doesn't matter. That's not the reason why it's better.
But it is not poorly done Japanese dub or everything, but. It's the lip syncing does make it better for me. So weird thing.
That was kind of the two bummers that I heard is like that Japanese like the mouth animation like not lining up with the dubbing, and apparently like the Kurosawa, which is like the thing again like you're talking about like the movie inspiration of like there's like a black and white mode, and like apparently that's like not great either because there's a lot of missions in the game that like rely on you finding particular colored things. And
I didn't know that. So
it kind of falls apart.
It
but like I think I will commit to that mode, just because again, like I said earlier, I'm a One Piece fan, and they got the dude who plays Zoro, the in One Piece, the dude who has the 3 fucking swords. The Japanese voice actor is the voice actor for the main.
He's really good.
So
the guy who plays Jin is really good.
Enough for me to be like, man, they got the cool badass sword guy to be this sword guy. I have to.
I get that, yeah, totally.
So even though it's like kind of not the great.
The thing I said to Nabashin was, and I'm a heinous criminal for switching back and forth, but like when I'm not doing story missions, so like I'm just doing side quests and stuff, I have it in Japanese because there's not like a lot of close-ups on the mouths and stuff. So
sure.
it fits a little bit more for that, and you don't really notice. And then when I switch to like when I'm gonna pursue the main story, I'll put it in English. And it gives you that kind of, if you're looking for that anime or television serial like different stories, wandering samurai stories in Japanese, I feel like doing the side quest in that totally scratches that itch. So, which is all I wanted. So, but yeah, it's good. It's a really strong. I had the opportunity to hear some things about what this game was before it was canceled by someone I trust. I can't necessarily say, but someone that had it was Gold Farm. No, God no, heaven, I would never repeat it. I would be too afraid to violate that trust. But another source that had spent a long time with Sucker Punch while this game was being developed. And essentially from what they told me, it was an RPG that was a lot closer to aesthetically to Horizon Zero Dawn, but a little bit more fantasy. So I'd love to know all the different versions of this game in development and how they ended up on what Tsushima is, and if maybe they had multiple projects going and decided to go with this one and it had the most promise and those other games will come back. I also and I have not finished this game, but I assume that there's no sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
That this was a thing. This is based on historical events.
Historical event.
Yeah, obviously dramatized and stuff. I assume Jin and his uncle and that relationship is probably the core of what's been dramatized and stuff. And I assume if you win or lose or whatever happens to Tsushima afterwards, I know that there were 2 invasions of Tsushima, one failed and then the other lasted for 200 years or whatever. So I assume there's not going to be a sequel to this where you just die at the beginning and then it's 200 years of subjugation. Yeah, subjugation of Tsushima is the sequel. I don't know if that's going to go so well.
It's actually a BR.
Yeah, it's a battle royale where 100 Mongols drop onto Tsushima.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, you know what? Shelf that idea. We're gonna come back to that.
That's what I'm saying, dude. You're having microtransaction swords.
Now's when you get Gold Farm on the line.
Yeah. All right, Goldie, I got an idea. Here we are. I didn't leak the secrets, I swear. So yeah, I don't know. I assume this is a one and done, which is great. I want it to be that. I'm okay with Sucker Punch if they just decide hey, we're gonna just tell cool stories with different mechanics and stuff like that. I'd be super into that, but who knows?
Real quick, I wanted to give props to the game for like not really having like loot in a real way, and like the quote unquote loot that you do get is like very customizable, and just like all this stuff that was like, I thought you'd get like multiple swords or something like that, or like as far as like the loot is concerned, quote unquote, it's more just like vibing of what you want to look like.
Yeah, or the skill set you want to lean into,
Yeah, and I just appreciate it. I didn't have to like really like get too deep into that. That's I think that's my biggest compliment of the game. Like I don't have to get like super deep into it, or I have to learn too many systems. It's more of just like just enjoy it. Just like, and that's what I really just been doing so far.
The most complicated thing about it is the controls, and they're not too bad. I assume once everything's unlocked, and if I go away from it for a couple weeks, and I have to think about 4 stances and 4 different ranged weapons and 4 different swords, and switching and toggling between those, yes, it'll get complicated. But for now, it's fine.
Real quick, Alex. Like in comparison to something like Horizon Zero Dawn, because I know you played it and you beat it and you liked that, right? So how do you think this game compares to that?
It's funny. I've been thinking about Horizon a lot, playing it, because it reminds, in the same way that Horizon felt kind of different than the God of War, Last of Us, Uncharted, all of that column of Sony first party games. This also, I think, stands a little outside of it, right? Maybe it stands in the same corner that Horizon does, of like open world RPG mechanics and heavy systems. It's weird like that. I think like the armor and sword system and weapon customization system is like very similar to God of War, weirdly enough. Not as like there's no levels, no artificial leveling to it, but it does. It's like, slot this charm into this thing and it'll give you this ability or this passive, but yeah, it reminds me a lot of Horizon. It's in a similar vein of that, of like, I like this feels different, this feels like familiar but new, and this feels like iterating on a different idea than what I've seen Naughty Dog and now Sony Santa Monica and all them try and iterate on over and over again. I feel like this is going in a different direction, and it's just like you win a lot of points with me with presentation and style, and this game has both of those really, really, really well. And anybody that knows me, like, Control is that, it's presentation and style. It also plays really, really well, I think, and stuff like that. Zelda presentation style is a huge part of it. Like the things that speak to me the most, if you lean into yourself and allow yourself to kind of live in your own truth, things I jokingly say a lot, but like I really think that kind of swagger really, really helps, and I think both Horizon and Tsushima have that, and it's really refreshing. So, you had some questions, Mike. I don't know if you had
Yeah, I had like I have one. I asked someone about I was mostly about like the dub and some of the other stuff. I think I have one question, and then I have like a final kind of thought.
Sure.
To throw out. My one question is like, because I know like they kind of are like towing the line of like not just having a bunch of objective markers, kind of like the more basic stuff of like you're like kind of like the wind is guiding you.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the wind?
Yeah, like how I know you like you guys said you're in super far in, but like how have you kind of seen, is that stuff like cool or like confusing? Have you ran into a thing where, because I think that was my one thing of like I remember like I was watching a review and like somebody was pointing out how like animals in the scenery will kind of guide you, and it's like do they do a good job of like telling you like, yes, this bird is actually like that bird that's just randomly kind of flying ahead is actually going to be the thing guiding you. Like has it been confusing sometimes, or because I just picture this scenario where I'm like riding a horse around and then I just see an animal. I'm just like, oh, am I following this animal? Am I supposed to start following this animal somewhere random? Or
I've never had a moment where it's confusing. Where I love the wind thing. The wind thing is so great. It's like Alex O'Neill the mechanic. Like somebody was like, this is some shit that this guy would like. Just because it is like that. I played Breath of the Wild with the HUD off. I played Horizon with a lot of the HUD off. I like games like that. So the fact that it's just kind of leading you with your eye, There are like other things, the wind you'll see mostly, but you also see like usually it's like flower petals and stuff. I've probably seen a bird kind of thrown in the mix there, but it didn't really register. There's a lot going on visually in this game, like a lot of colors going on. But yeah, like there's foxes, and they'll kind of lead you to a place, but that's like a whole type of side mission collectible that you can do. Fox dens.
Gotcha.
So I don't necessarily know. I don't know if you've seen any like deer trying to take you somewhere in Option.
No, like I met a man who said like, "Oh, pay attention to these golden birds. They might lead you to something." And obviously, the fox den thing is actually really cool too.
Yeah, Fox den's really cool.
Gotcha.
And Nari statues and all that.
Cool.
So yeah,
and
it's
then-
super good. You just swipe up on the D-pad and the wind blows, and it'll take you where you gotta go.
It'll just kind of like go in a direction. And I thought that was cool too. when
It's a
I
little
heard it.
confusing sometimes, where you're like when you're really close to a thing, it's very hard directional where it's going, and like maybe it's just like
Just
right to your
you're
right.
just making the wind go every which way direction.
Yeah, so
And-
but then you just open up the map and
Sure,
you're
right.
fine. So
And then I guess the last thing is like I guess like generally from the conversation you guys seem pretty positive on it, but like one thing I was like curious about now that it's like kind of was coming up was does it feel sort of end of generation-y or not really? Does it feel kind of like its own thing or
feels kind of like its own
you
thing.
said, maybe it's like a one like it's probably going to be a one-off game. So
Yeah.
maybe there was like you said, maybe there's a grander idea here, so to speak, but then they realized like, oh, they're making a new console. Maybe we should kind of just do this and then make another thing on the new console.
Maybe I'm
I
alone.
guess maybe you don't know yet because you're still.
It doesn't feel like, oh, I can't wait to play the good version of this in 3 months. No, it doesn't feel like that. But
Well, I'm more so meant like just like is it, and not necessarily as they're going to port and make a better version of it, or more so that just like
oh, does it feel like it can
They're
kind
just-
of barely run on this thing?
no, like more like I guess like just from I guess it's hard to say like since you're still kind of. I guess this would be more of an idea of like once you guys have finished it and once I'm gonna try and be Origami King first, but I'm gonna jump into this right after. But I'm just curious how it feels. Does it feel like something that's like there, like you said, like there was that idea of like a more fantastical game before this that may have been ideas for a different game or maybe for this game, and then they kind of stripped some of that away so that they could just make this more one-off game. Because
I'm
of
sorry I
new
gotta do this
coming.
to you, Mike, but that's for a game that's not like a sequel or supposed to be a spin-off series. It just sounds too outlandish for it to be like
mean-
a reasonable question.
But no, I see what you're saying. Like
I mean, it doesn't feel half baked in any way.
Sure,
I will say there are parts of it that look a little rushed to me visually. But like it's hard to construe. Like it feels like they had enough time for this idea at the very least. Like, but it like to answer kind of what you're asking here. Like it feels like a very mid-generation game. It feels a lot like Horizon, which is like that came out right before or after the PS4 Pro. I don't fucking remember at this point. But like
You're saying, are you kind of saying like it doesn't feel like The Last of Us was for PS3, Mike?
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't word this right, but not necessarily like it saying it's bad, but it feels maybe like you said, like maybe it's just a little half baked of like they kind of just like a lot of what I've heard from the game is it's more like you said, it feels kind of like a mid-gen, like it feels like an Assassin's Creed game before they tried to like make it this more RPG thing, and that's kind of what the game is. Maybe, and like you said, they maybe had this idea to make it more of an RPG thing.
sure.
But then they're making a new console. Maybe they want to just have that for a new game.
It
Like,
doesn't.
I was just curious. It was just like a thought or an idea.
Yeah,
I was just
I
throwing
get
out
you.
there.
It does not feel like that. Like it feels like this is the execution of its own idea. Like it doesn't feel like this is like was two things. Now, like there are times where, like the objective nature of it does feel like it was almost separate from the open world nature of it. And I've only had like one brush. I have to play more of it, kind of like you said, to know that. But this feels like it feels like whole. Like the style, the visual, the mechanics, the combat, all of that was definitely like it's all fits together in a really nice way, in a way that is like and by compared to Horizon, this is very much a compliment of like they've figured it out, and this feels like a complete package, and it makes me wonder what made this game take so long. There's definitely like I imagine that's where the mid cancellation of whatever was there before comes into play of like, you know, we haven't fucking heard from Sucker Punch in a real capacity since 2014. I can say that this game doesn't feel like it necessarily took 6 years of time to make, at least so far. You know, games are hard to make, so what do I know? But it feels like maybe there was something that happened middle of the way that made this take as long as it did. But it also is like it plays really differently than any game Sucker Punch has ever played. Like, you know, the Infamous, effectively all those games are third-person shooters with, you know, different powers and shit that you get, and they have pretty extensive skill trees, especially, you know, Second Son has 4 different powers or whatever that you get. But like this is a whole other level of depth. You know, there's way more depth in this combat here, and also like style and kind of nuance to how battles play out, like the whole like standoff thing and stealth like kind of coexisting as like two things you could totally do at the same time. You like go stealth kill a couple guys, then come back over and be like, all right, now I want to fight, which I've done, which is great. And then like, you know, mechanics specific to that, like drawing your sword at the right time to kill a dude, then going into the combat, which has the 4 stances and the 12 items that you can throw and all that. You know, like it is way deeper than anything Sucker Punch has made. So at the very least, it in some ways it feels extremely ambitious, and that might have been what made it take so long. So
okay, cool.
So yeah, it's you know it's a mid-generation game, but that is a good thing. It's a compliment. So
Yeah.
it's not going to set the world on fire, but I don't think Last of Us 2 set the world on fire. I don't think Halo Infinite's going to set the world on fire. I don't think that's as easy a thing to do anymore. So,
Yeah.
we shall see. Let's transition out of video games here, because I think that's all for games. I'm gonna rapid fire, just for the folks that care, that might have something. What is a thing that you're predicting will happen next Thursday, Xbox Game Showcase? It's happening. I will be watching along. I'm Mike. I don't know if you're committed to the watch along as well, but
It's Thursday. What time is it?
I think
again?
it's at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m.
Yeah, I
Pacific.
could probably do that.
I'll double check on the time. Any Nabishin, any hopes, dreams? What do you think will happen? Is there a prediction that you've got locked in that you think is pretty solid?
They will announce video games. Prediction.
But I'm gonna have to put a 0 on that bet.
Yeah, 0 games. We'll see who wins that.
Hey, that's my line.
It's still Tony's cool.
It's still an incredible moment though. It is at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern.
Cool.
Thursdays.
I will be at work. I don't know, man.
Yeah, this one's like honestly harder to read than the fucking PlayStation thing. Like at the PlayStation thing, I was like, "There's probably gonna be a Ratchet and Clank." There was a Ratchet and Clank. It's great, you know, there's Kena and all this cool stuff as well. But like, I feel like I don't. People are saying shit like Perfect Dark, and I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know if they're gonna just go back to that well, you know.
I mean, like they still have stuff like they still have yet to put out, like Battletoads, I guess.
And Fable is probably happening. It's probably been happening for a while, and they haven't announced that. But
it's been so interesting for the last few years with Xbox, because it's like it's very clearly that like they pretty much held back to get ready just for the Series X, just to get ready to like you know, make that have a big splash, make sure that game when that console releases, it has the exclusives and the games that it needs, and like the one kind of suffer for that a little bit. So like because you know you'll probably definitely get your new Forza, you'll probably definitely get you're definitely getting Halo, obviously. But like what's the new stuff you're gonna get as far as like the system? Like that's like the very interesting question as far as like something like a new IP. Like I don't think you'll see too many of that, like honestly, other than like from the ones that we already heard, obviously from like Obsidian and like the other studios. But I don't know. Like I'm just not sure what can be announced. Like that'll really like get me going. Like like I said, like there's probably something like I have full confidence that they're gonna do something to like pick up the slack for their Japanese side.
Yeah,
So,
they'll have a hype Japanese moment for me. I feel like I'll get a Tales of Vesperia-esque. Not maybe that exciting,
you're
but
gonna get a Dragon Ball game there because that's their thing.
hopefully.
How many Gokus?
How many Gokus? That's not the bet, but my bet. I feel like I don't know if you've read it already, but it's really good. I'm very proud of it.
But like I'm just thinking about like what's the thing, and like I think they just need like a really big hit. Like I said, like I always say Ninja Gaiden, but like I'm kind of done saying that in a way, and like even Splinter Cell would have been a good thing, but like I can't see Ubisoft giving them an exclusive. But then again, like PlayStation just got exclusive from Bethesda, so like why can't they get it from Ubisoft? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like. I had, and I know I'm just poisoning the well here. I understand. I'm just gonna make it impossible for it to ever live up to any expectation. But I've been playing Control, man. I was like, man, if they fucking announce Alan Wake 2, man, don't even, just send me to the fucking graveyard right now because I will stop breathing. But that's like an old Xbox exclusive. Obviously, they don't even own that franchise anymore. But
Now I'm excited to watch this with you because I'm just picturing anytime a typewriter makes like some kind of typewriter just comes on screen.
You just see me go, what is it?
What is it?
I mean, Mike, you and I have been saying Banjo-Kazooie for years, it feels like. And you know what? The thing is, like, they will do that and they will check the box for you and I. I understand that they won't check the box for a lot of people.
Yeah. But most people be like, fucking whatever.
Yeah, fucking whatever. Or like Banjo 3 would be awesome too. Like,
yeah.
I think that's a good get. I
think that's a good get. I think it's very realistic. It's very possible. I just know that isn't going to be like, oh well, I'll walk out of that being like they killed it. Other people will be like, well,
it's not going to sell a console this holiday.
Yeah,
necessarily.
It's tough, man. This is
maybe got Series X will sell an Xbox.
Yeah, like
that's true. Yeah, it would probably sell an Xbox One because their stuff would probably be on there too.
Yeah, so like I really don't know. They've put themselves in a weird spot where like they could, in theory, do anything and it would be great. They could also do anything and it would be bad.
Yeah, and I'm in that weird spot of like, I don't necessarily have to buy a console this holiday because I have a PC that I can play all these games on.
Yep.
So it's like that thing of like, I'm excited to see what they have, but like, I was gonna throw the question of like, do you think we're gonna see a price and the date for a box this holiday?
They're saying no, but I feel like it's getting real late, y'all. Like I already had a PS4 pre-order this time, 2013. Like I was set and I was confident and I was pretty great in it, and that fucking thing had no video games on it.
Right.
Watch Dogs.
Yeah. Well,
it's like
no, it didn't.
I feel like because they originally said they were going to do like a monthly reveal thing, and I guess they just they already have not followed through on that because they had nothing in June.
Yeah, they didn't have anything in June.
But like I feel like like we're really getting to that point. So like if they don't have it, like that's the thing of like if they don't say that today, they have to go, all right, in August we're
they should tell us when they're
doing the thing. Like maybe that's where they say like, oh yeah, there's going to be like a second SKU of this too, and we'll give you the details not there, and we'll give you like the date, the price, and the pre-order. Like the pre-orders will go live this day.
If they have not said that on either end of this by Gamescom Live, then these consoles aren't coming out this year.
Yeah, that's pretty fair to say.
But it'll happen I think by then. But I think that's our cutoff. So they've got a little maneuver room in there, but I just don't think we'll see it. Yeah. I think if you got a solid hour of games, it's like, hey, especially if like first half, these are all going to be there day one, and a date would be nice. I feel like if you show Halo, you have to show a date because that's the third time they're showing that game, and it's supposed to launch with the console, and like
a lot of people. I saw this theory, which would be very good.
I know what they're going to do to you.
What?
The date's going to be day one launch.
Oh yeah, it'll say available day one. That's actually pretty good. They might do that.
People are throwing out 11/17 for 117 for the Halo reference.
What day
So
is
like
that?
November 17th.
Is that a Friday?
Oh, good question.
I think it is because that's 10 days after the Destiny expansion. No, that would make it a
It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. That's when Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out.
It
So
could
that's-
happen. It could happen.
Yeah.
Less likely, but I would.
Yeah, like people. I saw that theory just because obviously Halo's the big thing, and they're really hyping it up. I don't know if you've seen like Xbox.
Oh yeah,
like,
I've seen their Twitter stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're counting.
They're getting
down,
me
like,
excited.
6 days, and it's like some gif of Master Chief's foot like stepping into a frame or whatever, and you're just like, okay, I get it. But
Speaking of Halo, that's actually a good segue into our bet. Do you guys want to? We've been going for about 3 hours here, so I think we should wrap it down. It's hard. The answer the Xbox Game Showcase in, we don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm excited, regardless of whatever they do.
But,
yeah, I'm excited as a video game fan, and everything. I just I struggle to think of the thing that would make it a home run for me, and because 2 years ago at E3, I thought that was one of their best conferences ever because they spoke to everybody, and I thought they did it in a really good and genuine way, as far as stuff for Xbox One, and for the new console, I as far as where I'm at right now, I just don't know what they could do as far as in a general sense for to it's one of those things where it's when I think about Halo Infinite, do we want to get into this or I don't want to keep talking forever.
I do want to, but I'm hitting
don't have
another
to.
commitment,
We're fine.
unfortunately.
You're
Yeah. Table it. There's a lot of good. This has been a very good podcast, so I don't want it to end, but also I know it will never end if we don't let it. Yeah. I mean, we'll know next week. I don't know what they'll do to make it a home run, but I want to believe in the Microsoft that believes in itself. That can make it a home run.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but it is weird. It's also weird, again, not to draw. Sorry, we're drawing it out again. But it's weird. It's weird to think that we would have known all this stuff in a normal, a quote unquote normal year where there's an E3 back in June, over a month ago. We would have already known all this stuff, right?
Yeah. Can't even imagine.
Think about that too.
Yeah, it's a weird time. It's gonna be weird buying consoles not having lines outdoors and stuff. That's not gonna be a thing this year, probably.
Don't underestimate stupid people.
That's true. I mean, there will be places, but I don't know if Best Buy will open at midnight for this. I don't know if they'll let employees be there. So actually, real quick, we're gonna close out the show with a little bit of bets in a moment, but a couple ways you can be a part of the show. You can send your questions, comments, thoughts, predictions to the mailsack at irrationalpassage.com. We did get one, and I'll pull it up real quick. You can tweet your questions at irrationalpod with the hashtag IPQ, like Nicole Humphrey did. And she said, has Scott checked out Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark yet?
No idea what that is. Do tell.
I have no idea what it is either. So put that on your radar, Scott. But you can also email your questions, mailsack at irrationalpassage.com. And
Is it a Final Fantasy 13 spinoff or something?
ooh, I got
it looks like it's a it's Final Fantasy Tactics.
Final Fantasy Tactics-esque? Okay.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
Alright.
so that's why that question.
That is
so now I have to try it out.
yeah, that's relevant to last week's talk.
Yeah, now I feel dumb because I heard Fell C and I was thinking Pussy or whatever.
Oh, Fall C, yeah.
See, the joke it worked, but I didn't know it worked, so whatever. I'll abandon it.
Fell Seal, Arbiter's Mark. Fell Seal. That's a weird name. You can follow the show on Twitter at IrrationalPod. You can also follow me. I'm AlFighter27. Nobishin is at NABESHIN186. And Mike, you're at MikeIP_. Check out over on Twitch and YouTube. Just look for Irrational Passions for all of our video stuff, including viewpoints, new indie highlights coming soon, and our Twitch streams, which hopefully there will be some soon. And we got the Xbox watch along on Thursday. So if you'd like to see that or see the archive of it, you will be able to check that out. And check out wherever you listen to your podcast services. Give us a rate and review there, because we would really, really appreciate it. I don't say it enough, but if you're Spotify, give us the 5 stars, or Apple Podcasts, give us the 5 stars. Google Play helps us out a lot. Everything else is on irrationalpassions.com. We've reached the end of the show. It is time for bets. This week's bet. Again, I'm proud of this one. And, you can judge however you would like to. How many seconds will the Master Chief, Spartan 117, stand still during the Halo Infinite demo or presentation? Completely still. No camera movement. How many seconds?
What if it's the camera looking at him standing still?
You know what? I would count that. If it's from outside his perspective, but we'd see.
Think of like the commercial, the trailer opens, like wide shot, Master Chief standing there,
and it like kind of clips around and goes into his helmet. Yeah, totally. Those seconds, anytime he is in frame and viewable, or it's from his perspective and he's still, that all counts.
Okay.
But if he's off frame and still, that shit doesn't count. We'll never know. He could be fucking like doing jerk off motions off camera or something. I don't know. Nabashin.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
How many seconds will the Master Chief, Spartan 117, stand still during the Halo Infinite presentation? And as specified, it's from his perspective standing still, or looking at him and he is clearly visible standing still. Both count.
Does box art count?
No. It has to be in the game. Can be cutscenes would count, but he has to be perfectly still, so I don't know if he's got like some weird arm movement stuff that he'll be doing.
What if he goes into a box art?
If he steps into box art and stands still there, I will count as many seconds as the box art is on screen, yes.
I don't know, 7.
He's a very mobile Master Chief. I'm going to say 111 seconds. That is 1 minute and 51 seconds for anyone counting.
Standing still?
I don't know, dude. I'm just going for it, all right?
I'm going with 0, by the way.
You're going with 0?
Going with 3.
Damn, dude.
What if full Mississippi seconds?
If it's 0, say like cut to and it's like him moving
Just
and then
running the whole time.
I will fucking lose it. God, I hope you're right, Tony. Oh my god. Mike, you were also on Tony's team, just as a reminder.
I was gonna say 1
shit.
minute 17 seconds.
1 minute and 17 seconds. Excellent.
Like, no, what?
Yes. This is exactly what I wanted. I want everyone to know.
I mean,
you said 3 seconds, right, Scott?
I said 3 because I'm expecting one pan shot.
Yeah,
of
and then he
Chief
goes
as they amp him up, and then everything else is the action.
Yeah.
See, I'm hoping for that pan, but it's shown like every few minutes throughout the entire.
That's
show.
exact. My thinking is like the Rod or whatever is like, welcome to Halo Infinite, and it's just Master Chief standing on like a horizon, and then it zooms out, and we can still see him just chilling there, and it's like you'll explore a vast open, and he's just there off in the corner, fucking standing. That's what I want. I think we got this. That's the bets.
Now, weirdly, now I'm more excited to see Halo.
That's the goal of bets, is to add a weird level of tension to everything that you do. Let's go over to Metacritic for last week's bet. This time next week, what will the score average for user reviews on Metacritic for Deadly Premonition 2 be? Very topical. Weirdly enough, did not expect.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm curious if they're actually there.
Yeah, I think they're good for games that have been out for longer than 3 days. So let me read what we wrote first, actually.
Did Tony say 0?
No, Tony said 7.4. Scott said 7. Nabashini said 6.0, and I said 7.3. It's 5.9. You're 0.1 away, Nabashin. Basic.
What game?
Deadly Premonition 2.
Hmm.
Yeah, still. We looked at the user reviews of Deadly Premonition 1, and it was like 60 to 80% on user reviews. So we thought that we would get a pretty wild result, but maybe Deadly Premonition 2 not up to snuff. That brings Nobtion up to 8 total points. Scott still has 4. Tony still has 6, and I am in last with 3. Any final thoughts, final words here, Nobtion, you want to throw out there? You want to just go on talk about Xbox for 45 minutes uninterrupted?
No, we're good. Watching Yasha. It's good anime.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't let the memes get to you. Sure, they say it a lot. Sure, they yell out their names a lot, but it's a good show.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even register when I was watching it. It fucked me up when they changed the Kagome voice actress, though. But I know I'm fucking heinous dub scum. But that was like, I went in Sesshomaru. Because Sesshomaru, his voice actor is actually, he played Alexei in Tales of Vesperia. I'm like, I like this guy. I didn't realize he was in this. And he's different. It's like, whatever. It's fine. Sesshomaru is really cool, though. I just want everyone to know that I think I'm a simp for Tsushima. That's the show, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out, for listening. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Preaching the good word about Destiny. Always
fun.
Always a pleasure to have you on. And thank you to Danny Wiesner for opening music of Two-Player Co-op and our closing music of The World is Saved. We love you all very much. I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy out there. We will be here next week to talk about Xbox. But until then, I've been Alex O'Neill. Play your games. Stay rational. We will talk to you all next week. Titles.
Not this week. Let's pack it up and go home.
Yeah, shut it down.
That dude turned into a big dog. Destiny lore tour. I heard you poo poo pee pee. Battle Royale of Tsushima. And Falchi Arbiter's Mark.
Seeing it written out is so great. What do you want the title to be, Tony?
I like Battle Royale of Tsushima.
Okay. Mike, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm good with that one too. Because I don't know. Obviously, the pee pee poo one's good, but I don't know
what list we're gonna get to on iTunes, added on iTunes when we do stuff like this.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna get an email like you've been removed from Apple Podcasts. I'm like, what did I do? What was it this time? Was it the poo poo pee pee?
Poo poo pee pee.
Like, come on, bro.
Scotty.
I don't know this week.
I heard you poo poo pee. That's the thing that you can just say to people too. You just, I heard you poo poo pee pee. That's why my roommate.
Nah. That dude just turned into a big dog.
That's also a really good one. I forgot about that until we got here again. Nabishin? Did I ask you already, Nabishin? I don't think I did.
Sorry, I had a phone call.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, Battle Royale's fine.
I like Battle Royale Tsushima as well. Let me write the thing. Mike, do you think you could say the episode number?
What's the number?
I wrote it's 474. Jesus, and I'll say the title.
So did you listen to Rational Patch Podcast? So
yeah, I wrote it at the bottom of the doc too. If you want to read off.
Oh yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, I'll bring that. All right. You're listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast, episode 474.
Battle Royale of Tsushima. That's the magic. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and listening. We love you all very much. Thank you, Nicole, for hanging out this whole time. See you too, Scott. Have a good night. Bye-bye.